Okay, everybody, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
We got Zach, Powerlifter Zach here, and I know Zach from Body Shop Fitness.
Hell yeah.
So Zach, let's talk a little bit about powerlifting, man.
Powerlifting. So where do we even start, man?
Yeah,
There's
so
there's a lot. What do you want to know?
well, I guess just what, how did you get into powerlifting? Because you're a powerlifting coach now.
Yep. I run a small team.
From what I've seen, yeah, what's the company name?
Integrity Strength.
Integrity Strength
I
is
thought that it was good to pick a name that stands for something. I don't like when people say Team Hall. It's my last name.
Right.
The team's not about you. The team's
Right.
about your athlete. So I like to do that for that sake, and then also to just have the integrity name. You stand for something. Being strong, resilient, etc. So.
And what things do you consider to be integrity for you?
Being honest to yourself, being reliable, being true, these kind of things, and just not being a shitty person.
Just certain things that you kind of live up to. I love
moral
it, man.
code, if you will. Oh, I don't want to bump into that.
Oh yeah, totally, dude. Yeah, that light will fall right on you, man.
Incredible.
No, I love that. So that's where integrity came from.
Yeah. I was. It actually came to me pretty quickly, so I knew that was the one. The universe told me right away that was the name. So started the team. Technically, I started coaching in 2016. But
Right.
just recently I became an actual business with the LLC and stuff like that. So
I love that, man. You just started that now?
yeah, it's an actual business. I can say I'm a business owner. I mean, it's a sole LLC, so it's not like I have employees or anything. But
No, but it's probably a good.
it's a good flex.
Right, good thing to do. You get that behind the name. No, I like that name, integrity, man. So that's
Thank
like
you.
it kind of gives you like something to live up to and maintain.
Yeah, it's something to attach to. Kind of like I like Renovation's name as well. It's just
Oh,
something that
totally.
really, it paints a picture for you on what you're all about. And I like
It makes me think of like I do too. I like their name. Yeah, it's like you're kind of like renovating your house. You're just gonna like renovate your body.
yeah,
So
just
it's
taking
like,
down a beaten old person, body, house, whatever. and
Yeah,
turning
let's
it
just
into
fix
something,
this thing up a little
renovating
bit,
it.
right?
Yeah, I really like it.
No, I love that, dude. So how long have you been training then, or been coaching?
So I've been training since 2009. Actually, I got into lifting in high school, like most people did.
Right.
So
Which would have been when for you? Like high school? How long ago
I was a
it?
junior. So I graduated in 2011. So I'm 29 now, turning
Okay.
30. So I've been lifting for about 13 years, I'd say.
Hell yeah.
But back then, it was really just my dad got one of those, the shitty old bench presses with the stops that are too close to each other.
Oh, I remember those where your hands are like this and like
it
you pinch
pinches
them
you.
every time
Oh
you
my
like.
God. Every time I think of it, I get like a PTSD flashback on that.
It's not good.
But we started off with that because my dad was turning 40, I think. And he said he wanted to get in shape. So I remember him pulling that thing out, and I couldn't even bench 50 pounds at the time.
Right. So was that like your first introduction to lifting at all?
Yeah, I guess I would say like my first introduction for me training. Growing up, my brothers had a few weights. I remember they always had this 130-pound dumbbell that my older brother, and his friends would come over and they take turns lifting it. And I was always like, man, that's so cool, 30 pounds.
So that was it, just like some dudes with a 30-pound
Yeah,
dumbbell. That was like your first. Yeah.
My oldest brother was 9 years older than me, so they were monsters for me.
Oh,
and
yeah,
they're
dude,
straight curling a 30.
I get it. You like look up to these people that are older than you, and
Yeah,
it
and
kind
then
of
now we're
shapes.
here, and like that's.
I had that in college with all these dudes that were like a couple years older than me in school. Because I wasn't really an athlete either. And then when I got to college, I like started hanging out with these dudes that were like either a year or 2 years older than me in school. And then they kind of just took me under their wing. And like I talked about it on one of the last podcasts. But that was where I kind of, because I wanted to be a pro wrestler, but I didn't really have the athletic, background or anything. And I just started lifting with them in college. And it's like you get these things where you just look up to these people.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think
And it
that
kind of shapes you and everything.
those people that shaped you like that, you could be that person for somebody else, and you have no clue. I think about that all the time.
Well, and you probably are.
I hope so.
You try, right? I mean, that's the
Yeah.
thing is like, it's funny, even like this coworker of mine, she's into lifting, and she tagged me in a post today, like just trying to be like Nikki Free, and she was doing deadlifts. And I'm like, little stuff like that actually it makes you really appreciate, like, wow, yeah, I'm actually making a positive impact on people's lives,
Yeah, and for each person that posted about you, there's 5 others that didn't, so
that you might be
that might be
influencing,
influencing
or watching you,
because
and you don't
I
even know.
I've had people that have influenced me that I never said anything to them. I mean, obviously, I wish I should have because it would have made them feel better, but for every one person that compliments you, there's 5 that probably didn't. So
Well, and that kind of goes to your integrity name too, because like how you're conducting yourself probably does have an impact on the people around you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I stand by a lot that coaching is more than just the lifting. It's what kind of like behaviors do you promote amongst your people? What kind of character? It's like a father-son kind of mentorship, father-daughter, whichever. So that's why I like that, because I also teach my lifters not to be shitty people. I yell at them when they make messes, like children.
Yeah.
We go to meets, I make them stay after and clean up unless they spot and load. Things like this, I think, are what coaching really is.
Dude, they would have loved you in pro wrestling. Because, like, that's the first thing. Like, everybody, like, they don't want to, like, they, like, want to be the star. They want to be in the ring. They want to, like, have, like, win the belt. They want to win the match. But the thing they don't want to do is, like, set up and tear down the ring and, like, load all the shit onto the trailer, load all the shit off the trailer. So that was, like, that was the thing we had to learn, like, no matter how big of a star you think you are or how big of a deal, you got to be, like, helping with the little stuff like that.
Yeah, and if you really love the sport, you really love wrestling, you would be there anyway. So, you shouldn't have to force people to try
That's
to
kind of
help
a
out.
rite of passage, too. Like, you should have to. But, I mean, I think it always mattered, even if you were, like, elder, whatever, you'd been in wrestling for a while, and maybe you're one of the guys at the top of the show or whatever, to still do that and not act like you're above that, just to show the younger guys.
It resonates a lot with them to see them down with you.
Yeah, kind of being like leading by example instead of leading by talking and
standing there bossing people around and stuff like that. Absolutely. So, yeah, that's when I started into lifting, and then shortly after that, well, I was lifting in high school casually. I wasn't powerlifting. I'll start. I didn't really know what powerlifting was until about 5 years later. So
what were you doing in high school? Just like basic,
I was
bro
just,
split stuff?
I don't even know. Didn't even have a bro split. I honestly was just had a lot of emotional issues growing up in high school, just screwing around. So I would just get angry and then go downstairs, and instead of punching the wall, I would do a couple shrugs, dumbbell press. So I wasn't really on a split until maybe 2 or 3 years later.
So that was a good outlet, basically.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was definitely better than the alternatives, which is getting into trouble and things like that. I didn't really have any direction, but I just knew that, hey, I needed to express some emotion, and then plus, I wanted to be muscular, be attractive, get girls, that kind of thing. So
100%. So that gave you like an outlet for kind of your issues, anger, stuff like that. I think that's important.
Yeah,
I think it's not even. I don't think those things are unique to any certain people. I mean, some people have more issues with them, but I think it's a really human thing, and that's why we like all need some level of an outlet.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, unless you're just going to go crazy.
Yeah.
Those people that work all day and don't really do anything for themselves, and they're not doing well.
No, man.
I mean, I have like 2 or 3 creative outlets, and sometimes that doesn't feel like enough,
What are some of your other creative outlets?
I also did music too, actually.
Really?
I'm from Connecticut on the East Coast. I moved here a few years ago, and I did a small New England little circuit, did a few shows.
Okay, what kind of music, dude?
Metalcore, bro. Of course.
No shit. So you're a metalhead, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. I did vocals for them, and
okay,
had a great time.
Dude, that's sick.
I had a lot of stage fright, so I used to drink a lot, and I was slammed every show I played.
Shit.
It was a lot of fun, and then after that, I released some more music. It's still online, actually. You can check it out sometime.
We'll plug it at the end of the show.
Yeah, let's
for
give
sure.
it a try. And then
I like to plug everybody's everything on here, So
well, I'm not making money off of it or anything.
Doesn't matter. Well, we're still gonna pretend you are, dude.
I lost money on that, if anything. And then I put out a few songs where I played all the instruments. I didn't play the drums. I tabbed those out, but I played the guitar one measure at a time because I couldn't play riffs consecutively.
Okay. Yeah. But still were able to get it done.
I still played it. I taped down the bottom 4 strings, only played the top 3.
And then what style of music was that?
That was probably more death metal. It was a lot heavier what I did for my own stuff than with the group that I was in at the time.
Did you have a name for that project?
My project was called Black Mass.
Black Mass.
And then I had another one called Bruised. I only put out 1 track with that guy. And then my first band was called Saudade. It's a Portuguese word.
Okay, and what's it mean?
It doesn't translate to English, but from what I remember, it was described as a longing for someone or something that's gone with the knowledge that it won't come back. So we're taking kind of an emotional approach on that. Unfortunately,
that's deep.
Nobody could pronounce the name, and people just made fun of us, honestly. So it was kind of a mistake, but a bunch of the band stickers are all around New London, Connecticut still.
I love that shit, dude.
Played a few nut shows.
So Black Mass, that's like, we wrote this song in my band called Apocalypse. That was one of the lines is like something about the black mass. Behold the black mass. I don't remember, but yeah,
I think I had similar lines actually in
mine.
mind.
The black mass. I don't remember, but
all the art was black ghosts, kind of really, really creepy stuff. So, but yeah.
What do you think it is about that creepy shit that just like when I'm thinking about art and stuff, dude? Like, even like scary movies and shit. Like, what is it about that shit that's just so?
I don't know. It's maybe because it's such an extreme. It's just not something that we face in day life, you know.
Right. Like when it comes to art, I really like that kind of. Like, I mean, there's like some more happy, upbeat songs and stuff I like too, but they just don't really seem to talk to me the way like.
Or maybe you're just an angry dude.
Well, there's definitely some anger there, but there's something about just art being dark, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree. A lot of good art is dark. I mean, negative emotions, I think, inspire a lot more art than positive ones do. You know, when I feel good, I'm not like, man, I really want to write a fucking song about this.
Yeah, it's like
when I'm mad,
you're feeling shitty, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's where a lot of that comes from. I mean, more optimistic music should be out there, but hey, it's a lot harder to write, I think. So
There definitely is, like, music that makes you feel good or, like, feel love or feel like, yeah. But, yeah, for me, definitely, I think you need the music when you're down more. It's, like, does something more for you.
it does.
You know? Yeah.
What did you play?
Me, I played rhythm guitar and sang in my bands.
Damn.
I was always, I was in, well, yeah. Some of it's like, I don't know. I never played that much hard stuff. I guess in Loudhead, that would have been the most intricate stuff while singing. Because some of those metal dudes, like, we were talking about, I mean, I've already talked it to death on here, that new Megadeth album, but like some of the Megadeth songs, and Hetfield too, and Metallica, like when Dave Mustaine is playing some of the rhythm sections he plays while simultaneously singing, he's still grabbing these, like...
Isn't he like 70 years old now?
He's like 60.
Man.
But there's certain songs where he's still grabbing these riffs while singing. It's like, how the fuck is he doing that?
Been doing this twice as long as I've been alive. It's probably just a
Yeah.
memory to him.
Well, I think it definitely came natural to him, but then, like, I think he separates his brain, honestly, to... I think, because I remember there's times when I'd play stuff and I'd have to kind of memorize the pattern with my hand, but then... So be thinking of that with like one part of my brain, but not, if I think about that while I'm trying to sing, I won't be able to sing it. So I have to separate my brain and sing because I'm singing more to the beat than the riff.
You're just letting your body autopilot that.
You let your body autopilot the riff and then you sing with the music. Yeah, that's kind of what I would do.
I think about that a lot actually with in terms of lifting, because you talk about in lifting weights you want to be calm, you want to be focused, and if you're panicked you don't have that separation anymore, so your body's trying to make yourself lift as opposed to just letting it rely on the memory and the practice, and that's when people make mistakes.
Because I imagine when you get to the amounts of weight that you lift, you can't have one of those. Like, your body is literally requiring every little bit of concentration because you're at such a heavy level where you can't, like, if I'm doing something kind of light and I think about something else for a second, it's not going to affect me too much. But when you're at those heavier weights, man.
Yeah, you got to focus, and when you're lifting these kind of weights, it's always difficult, and you always have to try, even if it's light for you. That's one thing I have to get past with a lot of my lifters, where they're like, oh, this feels heavy. It's like, well, it's heavy, it's hard all the time. It's the nature of the sport. So you have to really, really focus to just even execute the lift. And then when you're distracted, like you said, a lot of things can go wrong the heavier that weight gets.
Especially when, like, you were helping me with my form the other day. When you're talking about form, that's when you have to think about all these little cues and, like...
Yeah. I mean, hopefully those cues and those things you practice at the lightweight, and when it's heavy, you don't have to think about it anymore. Just like the guitar comparison, you should be able to autopilot it and not think about it.
Right.
So when you start to panic and anxious, get yourself worked up, get excited, you don't have that separation anymore, and that's when people make mistakes, because your body's a lot better at doing these lifts than you are.
Right, but if I make a mistake while I'm playing a guitar riff, it's not a big deal. But
yeah, you just get.
If you make a mistake when you got like 500 pounds on your back, dude.
Yeah, and I've done it. I've had a hernia surgery and a double meniscus tear, were my two actual injuries. I mean, I've had dozens of strains, stuff like that.
And how'd you do those? Was it lifting?
Yeah. So the double meniscus, it was overuse that led up to this, and then I remember it was weeks leading up where I knew I probably shouldn't have been lifting, and of course I continued to squat 3 times a week because I'm just that guy.
Yep, all of us lifters are like that, dude. Like, you don't want to stop.
Nope, especially when you have a lot of your self-value attached to it. It makes you feel bad when you leave. So I remember trying to warm up, and I was just at 275 at the time, and I came halfway up, and I heard pop pop. Luckily, I was halfway done with the lift. I just put it away, and then that led to me losing my job at the time. I worked for Coca-Cola, had a good job, lost the place I was living at.
Is that why you're drinking the Coke Zero?
Kind of. I'm a big soda fiend, man. Ever since
actually, that looks so good. I was like, that has 0 calories.
There's one. I got 2 more. You want one, big guy? It's right next to the door.
Maybe
it tastes just like regular Coke.
And there's 0 calories.
This and Diet Sprite Zero are the plug. I'm
You
telling
got to have those
anybody out there.
when you're doing like anything where you are on diet like we are, and you can't eat certain things. You know, like dude, you got to have those 0-calorie
You gotta
treats.
have something. And when I worked for Coca-Cola, I had gone through all of the beverage companies, like different Diet Cokes, Diet Oranges, to try to find the one that didn't taste bad. And this is one of the reigning. This is the reigning
Coke
champion.
Zero, reigning champ.
Yep, I have a few of these every day. I probably shouldn't have so much, but hey.
You don't want to be having that many, dude.
I have like 5-6 a day, I'd say.
Damn.
And that's on a good day. Sometimes I'll kill a 12-pack.
There's probably not. I mean, I don't know. It's probably not that bad, honestly.
I mean, I don't know what half of these words are, and I'm not going to pretend to, but I'm going to continue drinking it anyway, so yeah, it doesn't matter.
There's like, I always listen to that dude, Lane Norton, like Bio Lane. And
Smart guy.
He's a smart dude, and he's kind of like, I don't think he's saying you can have like 10 of those a day, but like all this, the attacks on all this, like, because I use like stuff like that too, like when I'm dieting, like I'll use, you know, like the sugar-free Miss Buttersworth syrup on my, you know, stuff like that.
Sounds good.
And I think, you know, we get like really anti all that stuff, but like, I don't know, some of that stuff, like, yeah, there's chemicals and shit, and I think it's probably better to be 100% natural, but, I mean, some of the shit, like, when you look at it scientifically, like, he breaks it down, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's, like, more about calorie in, calorie out.
Yeah, and moderation, too, because if you're doing these things in just prep, you know, you're not loading up on a bunch of this stuff year-round, and I always laugh when people joke at me about drinking energy drinks and sodas because the other drugs and compounds we put in our body are way worse than this. So
100%.
that's on the bottom of the radar.
Well, even think about just the other stuff like even normal people put in their body just on a regular basis, like food, going out to eat all the time, drinking beer all the time.
Yeah, prescription medication.
Tons of prescription drugs. Oh, my God.
And then probably not exercising, which is the cardinal sin of all of those.
Right, so really there's no room to preach about some of that stuff.
I train 2-3 hours a day. I can drink a soda.
You'll be fine.
I'll be fine.
Yeah, and you're training really heavy. You're training like really an intense style.
Hey,
so
thank you. I appreciate that.
What does your kind of like approach to lifting look like?
Well, my approach, it's honestly not as exciting as people think it is because when I work with, I've worked with a lot of bodybuilders recently just because we train at the body shop and they look for help for my expertise. And everybody has a kind of idea that powerlifters are maxing out all the time, lifting heavy all the time, and it's not really the case. We honestly train kind of like bodybuilders do, except we just do more compound lifts, which does take away from time from hypertrophy stuff, of course, and that's why we're smaller. You know, shout out to you guys. You look better than us. I'm okay with that. But the way I come in is, say, for example, I have a squat day, a leg day. I come in, I squat, I hit a variation or two, and then I slam leg accessory like everybody else does. Granted, the approach with the compound lifts is different. Generally, the program that I'm on now with my coach, Sam Dean, shout out to you, Sam, you're killing it. He has me usually work up to a few heavier top sets on the main lifts, and then we'll back down and hit sets of 12 on the squat or the bench, deadlift, whatever it is, and then we'll move on.
Keep talking. I'm checking the feed.
Yeah, absolutely. Do your thing. So, and then the movement cycle through blocks, just like, you know, people do, you know, increasing weights. We do that, and then every block you'll cycle movements to whatever corresponding movement. So they're usually specific. So we'll go through and do, like right now I'm doing high bar box squats and safety bar squats just to target direct
I saw
weaknesses.
that, yeah.
Yeah, those are movements that are specifically tailored to my individual weaknesses. So I guess that's something worth highlighting is a lot of the movements are very specific towards how to fix my squat, bench, deadlift, or, you know, my clients and things like that. That is one difference on how a bodybuilding approach would be, is more just you guys are trying to get the mass, trying to get that tension in. We're trying to attack individual weaknesses in each person's lifts, and they're all very different. And that's where my expertise comes in on, like, hey, what's wrong with this person's lift? How do we fix that with what and at what intensity? So the workouts are pretty standard, and when we come in, hit some moderate direct competition movements, squat, bench, whatever. I do have one accessory.
So you usually start with your main lift?
Most of the time with upper
Maybe
body
a little
stuff.
warm-up.
Yeah, I do some warm-ups. I do some extensions, some curls. I notice that if I don't do any leg extensions and calf raises before I squat, my knees hurt, stuff like that. Get the glutes going. I don't do much static stretching before a lift, but if I have a problem muscle that's hurting, then I will static stretch that. But I generally stay away from that kind of thing. I like to warm up with the barbell. So
yeah, because you're just going to warm up with the movement, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the most specific thing you can do. So I'll do a slight variation of it, like a tempo or a pause if I'm not doing pauses, you know, things like that. Yeah, I'm training 5 days a week right now, 2 days off, Thursday, Sunday. So
That's my same today and Sunday.
Hey, well, it works out.
I love that
We're
Monday,
here.
Wednesday. You get the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday day off. Friday, Saturday day. It works great.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a good
Sunday right before the week starts. It's good to have a day off before you go back into things. But I don't have a weekday job, so it doesn't matter for me anymore. But
right. So you're just coaching full time.
Yeah, I'm coaching full time. I was recently renting out my car for a while, but now I make enough money coaching I don't have to do that, and I'm also going to school.
So you had been working at Coke and sorry I had interrupted your story. Or you can finish that story if you want.
Remember that
so
story.
how did you get into like? So you're just you're working out. Like you said, a little bit. Just kind of using it as like an outlet for like any kind of issues and stuff. And then you said about 5 years in, you find out what powerlifting was. There any kind of like. Was there any kind of like people in the business that inspired you, or was it like
absolutely.
somebody you met in real life? Or
right after high school, about a year later in 2012, I joined up at a local gym with a buddy of mine, Matt Kaufman. He trains at Body Shop. I don't know if you met him, really nice guy. So we started going there, and we had known a guy we went to school with named Tyler Adams, who was competing in powerlifting. He was a 148 guy, which is the class that I would have gone into. I did go into in the future. So me and my buddy Matt were training. We were doing squat, bench, deadlift in the gym. And then around 2014 this guy Tyler reached out and said, "Hey man, like you're squatting, benching, and deadlifting. Why don't you powerlift?" And I'm like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah, you're just like, what do you mean I'm working out? Yeah,
I just thought I was working out. So he said, "There's a meet coming up in February. It was called the Valentine's Day Massacre in I think it was South Hartford, Connecticut." And me and my buddy Matt went and watched, and that's where we got in from there. And
so you watched this cool powerlifting meet, and then that was it?
I'll never forget it, man. It was the smallest, scary gym, and over where we're from, the lifting scene's a lot different. It's a lot of big dudes, a lot of big hairy guys in lifting suits. Over here, it's a little prettier.
This was Connecticut?
Yeah, this was Connecticut. So I walk into this, it was called Iron Horse Powerlifting Gym, and it was this dingy old gym, and I'll never forget, I saw this kid who was 13 at the time named Buster.
Yep.
He weighed in at 114, and I watched him open up with my deadlift max like a fucking warm-up, and I left.
I mean, I feel like that. I see that shit all the time. Like, I feel
man.
like that. I see that on Instagram all the time. Dudes that are like, way younger than me, way smaller than me, and they just like deadlift like crazy.
Yeah. I remember seeing him walking around, and I was like, "What's this kid doing here?" And then
you saw him lift.
Dude, it was rough. It hurt my ego pretty good. That was the first ego check I really got, because I was like, "Man, I pull 360 pounds. I'm really strong."
Right.
But I was like 135 at the time.
You were younger then, so you probably the ego was probably still little.
I was 21 at the time.
Oh yeah,
that was before I had surgeries, and that humbles you really quick.
Yeah, I feel like when you're younger, it's easier to be like. Just the ego's different.
It definitely is. You just haven't had that. You haven't been checked yet.
No, you haven't had life kind of smack you to the ground yet.
Yeah. So that's how I got into that. Right after, as soon as we left, I was upset that I watched this guy crush my feelings, but I signed up for a meet that day, and I ended up competing 5-6 months later in August. At my first meet, I weighed in at 142.2. At this height.
Yeah, you were a lot smaller.
I was a scrawny dude. I graduated at 135.
What do you weigh right now, dude? I'm looking at you on the screen right now. You look fucking huge.
I'm about 225 right now. I need to. I ate up a little bit this summer mistakenly.
I mean, fluffy though, but like you look like a fucking. Like I always say, I was telling somebody, you look like a. Because I'm from pro wrestling. You look like a fucking pro wrestler.
I've heard that before.
Like you look like you could be. I think it's cool, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm a 198 competitor, so I got to drop 20 or so.
Looks like you could just clothesline the fuck out of somebody.
If I can get a hold of them, I'm probably too slow.
No, not in the wrestling ring, dude. There's ropes. They can't get away from you.
Yeah, they can't run.
I mean, you can whip them off the ropes and then clothesline them and shit, yeah.
That's true.
Right. So, but right now, you were you just kind of bulking up, like...
Well, my plan was that I have been eating up gradually from the 148 class. So my last meet I was at 198, and I've been trying to fill out that class. So by our standards, at least my standards, if I were a true 198, that means I'm maybe 212, 215, and then I water cut for the meet. So you cut for the competition. So
even in powerlifting, you cut too. Huh?
Yeah, weight class and stuff is a dynamic. Not a lot of the local guys cut a lot of weight because there's no point unless you're going to win. But we definitely have classes. We have weight classes, so you gotta compete with the best. And
well, that was like that dude. The other powerlifter I had in here was that Sam Deason, and he was like, "That's why I like to powerlift, because it's like lifting, but I can still eat what I want."
Yeah,
like kind of like
you can, but
you can. I mean, but it just depends, I suppose, on what your goals are.
That's true.
But that's one thing I think it's unique about powerlifting is like it really is. It's not so like. it's just about how much weight you can lift with the proper form, and the judge, like where like bodybuilding is so subjective to what judges are going to judge you on.
When I started lifting, that's why I picked powerlifting, because at some point I had the the fork in the two roads of,
it's very concrete. Or you lift this amount,
and that's why I picked it, because I was like, I'd never want to go to a show and lose just because the judge just picked somebody else, and there was. I don't want that. So
it's definitely functional too.
It is. I mean, we actually it's an activity. That translates to daily life, which helps. So absolutely, and that's why I like it.
I think it just makes you feel better in life in general. Lifting, like, just more capable. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You just feel more sturdy.
Some
more
people
capable.
get too beat up lifting heavy all the time, and
and then you can't do shit. You're like, I can't go up these stairs.
Yeah, you'll hear those guys and like, oh, I'm a power lifter, my body hurts, and it's like, well, that's because you don't do mobility and you train like an asshole. You shouldn't be hurt all the time. Don't use powerlifting as an excuse to get hurt and eat like crap.
I think some dudes do that.
No, a lot of them do.
I suppose you as a coach, like, what you're trying to fight against that, because that is a thing.
Yeah, I got the clients that want to lift heavy, go off plan all the time, and you got to handle that.
What does your kind of like diet plan consist of?
It's not great right now.
Well, I mean, you can, like you said, part of powerlifting is you probably have to hit a certain amount of protein and all that, but like you could go out and have a burger if you wanted. Like,
I mean, it's not going to affect my look. If I'm in a direct prep for a competition, then that does change.
It changes, it tightens up a little bit.
It just depends on what class I need to be, what weight I need to be, and when. So if I don't have to make a class, then we can go do that kind of thing. Granted, you can't let it get out of control, because
then you're just going to become fat.
Yeah, and then you have to lose that weight to make your class again, which is the situation I'm in, where you do take a strength cut when you lose a certain amount of weight. So you don't want to get too fat, because
you want to keep a lot of clean stuff coming in so that you're building hopefully good weight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So even though the look doesn't necessarily matter as far as how much you lift, it's still going to matter what you're eating in order to help your performance.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just be eating all sugar. You have to have some breakdown and fine tune that depending on yourself. I found that I respond really well to a high fat diet for my energies. I quite like that. And when I'm lower carb and prep trying to make weight, I feel like I mean, it might be a placebo, but I feel like I lift better because I feel tighter. And when you feel better, you lift better.
Confidence is better. Everything.
When you're fluffy and you're busting over your belt, you don't feel too good. You feel like the Michelin Man or something. So
no, that makes total sense.
In terms of our actual competition aspect, if you make the weight, that is all that matters. It doesn't matter what you look like. I mean, I would like to be jacked, but it don't matter.
Well, you are jacked. So back to when you were starting. So about 5 years in, you have this first power lift meet, and then how did that transition into becoming a coach? Getting clients, now having this as your main business. Like, how did tell us a little bit about that story, man?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how did powerlifting kind of maybe change your life? And
I mean, it definitely did.
Yeah.
Because I'll start off with the first question. How did that transition into coaching, rather? So I had competed in 2014, and then I had continued to do more competitions. About 2 years later, I just had a friend of mine ask for help lifting, so I helped her out. And then shortly after that, I had a few kids at the local gym, high school kids, ask for help. So I then found myself with a small team. I charged them all $20 a month because I had no clue what the fuck I was doing. So it was under the premise of, you're my guinea pigs. I shouldn't be really doing this because I don't know what I'm doing, but like, they were young and didn't know any better.
You're learning though, yeah.
Yeah, so I was learning. I encourage anybody to do that. I have some people that come up to me and say, hey, I want to coach. And I say, find somebody that'll let you do it for free or for cheap under the predisposition that you don't know what you're doing, and learn. So that's how that started. And then I had a few people, and then I remember it was 2017 was the moment I decided, like, I'm going to coach. I was working for a shitty vending company in Connecticut, stocking shelves and stuff like that. And I remember I was listening to, have you ever heard of Inky Johnson, famous speaker?
No.
He was a football player from, I think, Tennessee, mistaken if I'm wrong.
Inky Johnson?
Inkerus Johnson. He was an aspiring NFL player, and he was actually chosen during his college career. He was top draft pick, and then on his second to last game, he had sacked a running back, and he had damaged his corticoid process and lost function of his entire arm. So he just told a story, but either way, I was at work listening to the story, and he talks about a coach that he had that had an impact on his life that still buys him socks every year for Christmas, and he had a quote where the coach said, the more you make sure that someone else's life is all right, God will make sure your life is all right. And I remember in that moment, I was like, I'm helping people with what I'm doing right now.
Right.
And the more I help them, the happier I am. And I made up my decision from then on.
Okay, so it was definitely because you were getting back from helping other people.
Yeah, and this was not too long. This was maybe 5 or 6 months after I had a hernia surgery that year. So I was having a hard time. I was kind of lost because I was like, I couldn't really lift. And I found something else in that time. So, shout out to Inky Johnson. Hey, listen to some of his stuff. He's a phenomenal speaker.
Right. Sometimes when you listen to these certain people, it really can have profound change on your life.
Yeah.
It's so silly. Like, I mean, it's like, and we're all on Instagram now, so there's always all these like motivational memes, like tons of them and stuff, and it's so cheesy. But sometimes, dude, I find stuff in there.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's like life-changing stuff, and it definitely, that's a pretty cool story, man.
Yeah, I highly encourage taking in any motivational content, whether it's corny or not. There's going to be that one thing that'll strike out to you, and you'll say like, "That's it."
But I think there's definitely truth in that it helping other people definitely, or even just inspiring other people, it gives back to you.
100%.
It makes you feel good.
100%. I mean, I don't think anything is much more satisfying than helping out another person because, I can disappoint myself all day and I'm okay with that, but I won't let other people down. So it really pushes you to be a better version of yourself when you have other people to help out and rely on them. And it kind of takes away, the focus from what you're going through.
Because they rely on you.
Yeah,
so,
they rely
so it's
on
like
me.
if I don't care enough to be a good person for myself today,
exactly,
but I got all these other people, like, I can't be a piece of shit today because these people are like, they depend on me.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, because some days I'll come into the gym and I'm like, man, I don't want to do this. I don't want to train hard. I don't want to talk to nobody. And then I'm like, but my kids are watching me.
Yeah.
And I can't let them train
harder.
harder
And you're
than
their coach, man. What are they going to say? Well, coach is like slacking off.
I can say that. I train as hard as I can every day, rain or shine. And I think you guys see that at the body shop.
And it's good for you and good for them. It's like a cycle of, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, you're who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
So even if they weren't my clients, me training hard helps them. And, so I would continue to do it for just that. But absolutely, you're a role model in that situation.
That's
so
pretty cool, man.
You got to put up a good image,
Right. It definitely matters. How many people do you have then?
I've got 13 online and then 2 in-person clients right now. I don't have a whole too much. I'm trying to keep my team limited to what I think I'm capable of handling.
That's important, right?
I had a limit at 10, and then I took a few more. I was thinking about going to 15, and then when I hit the 12 clients, I'm like, I don't think that I should take any more because I felt like my quality of work would suffer from that. So
you can't have too many where you're not going to be like giving them good quality because you're stretched too
100%.
thin.
I mean, you got to take pride in your work. And I refuse to give any client better treatment than I would another just because I have too much of a workload because I wanted more money. If you're a coach in that situation, go find money elsewhere, man, or do a better job and raise your prices. I don't know what to tell you. But you get that. You see these people all the time that are just not doing what they're supposed to do, and it's because they're greedy. And when you got people relying on you, you can't do that. And people are paying you good money for a service, so you just got to hold up. It's integrity.
It's integrity. There's a lot of good coaches at Body Shop, I feel like.
Absolutely. It's a great team to be a part of.
Yeah.
Honestly, great people, and their mindset and vibe is just phenomenal. Everybody that works there as a coach and trainer, they're just they're great people to be around. You don't get any bad vibes from anybody there.
I think that's the best thing I've gotten out of that too. Like, I've been there for like a couple of years now, and it's just like you said, I think the vibes matter so much.
Yeah, and everybody there is there with the positive attitude of like, hey, I'm here to grow, I'm here to face my things, and like, let's get after it. I talk a lot with Kimberly and Jordan from Renovation, and they're very much all about that. And
well, that's what I always say about them too. Is like you can't really slack off because you see how hard they work.
Yeah.
So like, they set a really good example for
sure.
Absolutely. But
yeah.
So the ones the clients that you have online. How do you kind of do that where you're training them online?
Excuse me.
It's mostly like check-ins every week, and then you give them a workout plan.
Yep.
Do you do their diet as well?
I don't do their diet.
You put that to somebody else.
That's not my thing. I have one guy I've tried to do diet with, and it's just not my thing. I have clients that ask me about that, and I say, go talk to Renovation. Go talk to somebody else.
Well, they always say, like, if you're a coach or a trainer, like, one of the best things you can have is, like, the ability to have other professionals that know what they're doing for you to like 100%. Outsource. Like, you shouldn't actually have to know all that stuff.
Yeah, you shouldn't. And if you act like you do, then you're nothing.
You're just being fake.
Yeah, you're being fake.
Like, if I know you have an injury, I'm going to refer you to like a chiropractor or a doctor or somebody qualified to handle that. I'm not going to try to pretend I know.
And even if it's my specialty, sometimes I'll have people, trying to learn something about the main lift for me, and I'll defer them to somebody else and say like, hey, my method just isn't working out for you, and that's completely okay. To understand your limits and my limits does not include nutrition. That's not my thing. So I'm not going to claim to know that. So I don't give them any diet stuff. I'll give them anecdotal, just what I've done that's worked for me and this and that. But I don't do any meal plans. So what I do for all my online clients is I do my programming through an app called Train Heroic. I upload weekly programming. I usually have it done by Sunday, but Sunday's my day where you're going to have your week Sunday. And I check in with them. I'm working on a system to get a document for weekly check-ins so that people can send in, their stats on how they're doing, But I don't have that quite up and yet right now. But I do speak to just about every one of my clients every day.
And you speak to them online. So, are your clients all in this area, or do you?
I'd say a little bit over half of them are. I have a few clients in Connecticut, and then I have 2 remote clients that were strictly remote.
Dude, that's so sick. That's what I love about online because, now you're able to help these people all over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not just you're not just limited to this one area.
Yeah, and with online, you can do a lot more than just one-on-one sessions. I think in terms of bang for your buck effect for your clients. Because if I can give you all of your programming all the time, then you're getting a lot more than just one session a week kind of scenario. So it's a good way to really get results out of your clients. So I do that. I talk to them about every day. They send me lifting videos as much as I always tell them the more you bug me and the more videos you send me, the better product you get. So
because you're going to be able to see their progress.
Yeah, the more information I have, the better I can do. And I honestly obsess over it. I watch my own and my clients' lifting videos over and over again. I watch every little detail. It's just what I love to do. So, if you fill out your documents, your check-ins and everything and send me videos, you get more work out of me, So it behooves you.
Man, that's
to
so
do
cool.
all that. So... But so that's going on with that. That's where the bulk of my income is at right now with the online team.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I love it. I'm keeping it at where we're at right now just to make sure that the quality is maintained. But that's them. And I started getting coaching. That was 2017 was when I listened to that speech, and ever since. But when I moved here in 2019, I did stop coaching for a while.
What was what brought you here? Was it a job?
It was romance, actually. My beautiful partner, Angelica, I met her online in 2018 through the Instagram.
So on Instagram, and she lived here.
Yeah, she lived here. She was born and raised in this area, and I was in Connecticut, which is about as far away from here as you can get, 3,000 miles the other way.
That's wild. So how long did you guys talk before you moved out here?
Our first conversation online was October 8th, right?
Yeah.
March 1st of the following year, I lived here.
Okay, so it took a while, but
that
sometimes
was 4 months from meeting her online.
So it was fast.
Yeah,
it's just you knew.
Yeah, we knew. She flew out that following December, 3 months later, and visited me. And she actually, our first date was I did a lifting meet, actually. So she flew over the night before. I picked her up, and then we went to the meet. And it's funny seeing her in the background on all the videos because she had no clue what powerlifting is, and she's just nervously laughing.
And that was the first time she watched you at a meet?
Yeah, the first time. It was
she's already there.
She had seen me for the first time in person 9 hours before when I picked her up from the airport. So
dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, so she
had documented basically the first time you met.
Yeah. I even have our first conversation chat log I printed out. It was an anniversary gift. This is our first, Because she messaged me.
I love that, dude. That's awesome.
I had an Instagram bot at the time. No shame. Sorry, guys. I had a bot that followed and unfollowed people. Mm-hmm. And it had followed her, and I didn't know who she was, and she had messaged to respond.
What is a bot?
It's just an auto program, that gets you
action
for you. It's a robot. Yeah. So what it did is it would follow. I chose 5 lifters. And this bot would follow people that engaged in those 5 lifters content. And then after X amount of time, it would unfollow them. So I got thousands of followers, and a few of them, about 1,000 I kept past the bot. But so she had messaged me responding to one of my things, and it was.
Thanks to this bot, you met
the love of my life, and I came over here, and as a result of coming here, I got clean off alcohol, which saved my life 100%.
Was that something, and if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to, was that something you had an issue with?
100%. I got no shame talking about it. We all have our journeys, and I've overcome it, so why would there be shame? But
dude, it's cool. I just listened to this Andrew Huberman podcast episode, and I've been bugging all my friends with it.
Yeah.
Because it's this one about alcohol, and it's so interesting because of how terrible alcohol is.
It's terrible for you.
Horrible for you.
It's terrible on so many levels, and I think in hindsight, it's impressive how strong I got drinking so much because I had gone to inpatient rehab twice, and I was drinking from maybe 20 to about 27, and
7 years.
About 7 years.
So the whole time that you were building this powerlifting physique,
Yep.
you were actually drinking along
most
with
of my
that.
competitions, I was drunk. I remember my best performance ever. I had at the time it was the 17th squat of all time in my class. I squatted 540 and 165 without knee wraps. Squatted 3.5 times body weight. I drank a handle of Tito's the night before, and had cut 20 pounds. I was 183 the week before. I had weighed in at 164 and change, and that's just what I did. So
You were just so functional that you could do it.
functional, whatever.
Functional,
I ended up getting hurt so much probably as a result of that, but I was a functioning alcoholic.
Right.
I worked drinking and stuff like that, and when I was with Coca-Cola, I drank pretty much at work the entire time. Luckily, I never hurt anybody. Nothing ever happened, but it was something I struggled with for a very long time. Absolutely.
Dude, that's amazing. And now, do you think, was it after you met her that you were able to get sober?
Yeah, it was maybe 2 years after. I think it was 2020, New Year's of 2019, the end of that year. I had stopped. So I'm a year and 9 months sober at this point.
A lot of times it really just takes like meeting somebody or that right person that kind of like can help change you.
Sometimes you just need a little nurturing, you know?
Yeah,
all of us lifting guys are babies. We
Well,
just
there's
need
like something broken or something's that you get, it's getting filled then. And someone kind of comes into your life and maybe kind of like, oh, that's the thing that was missing. Or that was like...
Absolutely.
Dude, I love that. That's
Absolutely.
amazing.
I did have one thing that had happened that was a big wake-up call for me to stop drinking is I had been having a lot of abdominal pain, and it turned out that I had just strained my scar from my hernia surgery. But I had gotten some ultrasounds done and some vitals done, and all the doctors said, like, everything checks out that you are in perfect health. Like, your liver is completely fine. Like, you are doing great. Like, this is textbook. A picture of health for somebody your age, and I was stunned because I'd been drinking a handle of vodka almost every night, or 750 rather. So I took that as like a hey, there's something bigger for me that's meant for me if I can't put myself down, by damaging my body like this. So
this didn't kill me, but this is a sign for me that I need to stop.
Yeah. So it was about 3 months after that is when I had stopped at the end of the year because I had just, and I had enough too. I realized that I wasn't gonna win.
Right, and all the effects of all that, I think it takes however long for it to get reversed. Mm-hmm. Like they say when a smoker quits smoking, it takes like a certain amount of years for like all those little sacs to grow back and everything. And I think with alcohol too, like the cool thing about it is most of the effects can be reversed if you stop.
Yeah.
But the effects are bad.
They are, and
it changes your cells, it changes your brain, it puts you in this cycle of depression and anxiety, and like
that's exactly what I was about to mention. Yeah. When my doctors told me when I was drinking, saying, if you just stop drinking, you'll be a lot happier. I said, screw you, blah blah. I'm just self-medicating, blah blah blah. But then as soon as I stopped drinking, 5 or so months later, my depression was gone. It was alcohol induced. So
that's
I owe
what
a lot
they
of
forget
doctors
to tell you.
apology.
It's like, I drink because I'm depressed, but then it's like you don't realize like after you drink, it's gonna make you more depressed, and then you're gonna drink again to be not depressed, and then you're gonna. It's just this big cycle of depression and anxiety.
Yeah, and then you're masking all these things that caused you that those problems in the first place. So once you, I remember when I stopped drinking and I had stopped covering up all of these things, I realized I got a lot of problems up here now that I'm not just masking it all the time.
And once you were not masking it, you actually had to kind of face them and be forced to.
Yeah, so I'd gone to behavioral therapy after that, and that helped out a lot. And it was definitely a journey, but I'm so glad I did because after I stopped drinking, I've put on my best year and a half of training in my life.
That's what I was like.
By far.
I was telling this friend of mine that about you have to... Like, she just went out and got drunk and was pissed because she's into lifting and everything. And I don't know, it was something about basically you can't really deal with anything until you deal with the truth. Yeah. Like, you can pretend something's not real. Or I think she was having boy trouble or some shit. But I'm like, you can pretend shit or you can just face reality and, like, deal with it. And then you can get better. But if you want to keep pretending and keep yourself in this delusional state, you can do that for like long. I mean, humans can do that for like indefinitely if you want, but you're not going to be living in reality.
No, you're not, and you can't.
Then you're not going to deal with those things.
No, you can't deal with something you're not willing to face as real. You can't attack a problem that you don't accept is there. Absolutely, especially with lifting weights. It's so bad for lifting weights in so many levels. I don't even have to tell you. Anybody
that takes lifting or fitness serious, very few of them drink.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a little bit, but not.
I'm okay with casual drinking, and I'm not, against that by any means. If you want to go out every other weekend and have some drinks with your buddies, go to the club, completely cool. But you shouldn't be drinking at the gym like I was.
Even just a few, like every week though, the negative effects are there.
Yeah, that's a lot of calories too. That's one thing that always hurt me is I was like, dang, this even just a shot of liquor is 30 minutes on the treadmill.
No, it's funny. I keep like talking about not drinking. I have that liquor sitting there.
What is this?
That's a Metallica.
No
So that's
shit.
why I got it, because it's black and Metallica
I
whiskey.
respect it. I like that.
Well, I had to, like, so I'm not a drinker either, but I'm a huge Metallica fan. So like this is they paired together with this whiskey maker who actually the guy ended up he's dead now, but they still make it. But they give you the batch number, and then they give you this playlist of what music they played the whiskey.
No shit.
So they I guess they agitate it by just blasting it with sound.
That's so cool.
And last time I had my buddy Matt was on here he plays in this band Bad Honey. And he's like, that's a gimmick. I bet they don't even play. I'm like, I don't know. I want to believe it's like Santa Claus. I'm like, I'm gonna believe they play the fucking music to the whiskey.
I mean, why wouldn't they? Exactly.
I mean, sure,
cruel.
That would be what are you gonna do? You're gonna say that you've been. I think they really do. They have to.
I mean, yeah.
It's probably protocol in the factory.
They have to isolate each keg so it's not touched by the other songs if they're separate playlists.
Yeah, there's definitely separate playlists. So, but I don't know, dude. Anyways, that's. But yeah, drinking bad.
It's bad, but I stopped that, and as a result, I started to finally put on a lot of lean mass. Because we were talking about my diet and stuff like that. My weight class, the whole goal was to eat up, like you said, fill out the class, and when I decided to do that, it was about when I had stopped drinking to fill out this class, and just put on a lot of lean mass. I measured myself, and I put on an inch to the arms and calves in some 6-7 months, which was a lot of progress for me. So definitely kicking the booze was a phenomenal decision, and stepping me up to maybe put up a good score.
Right, that's crazy, because think of how much healthier your body probably got.
Yeah, I mean, my knees don't hurt all the time, my shoulders don't hurt all the time, I cry a lot less, so that helps.
That's fucking wild, dude.
Still cry.
Well, yeah, you gotta cry. Men are supposed to cry.
Crying's tough.
That was that. Everybody a little while back was sharing that Macho Man thing where he's like, "I've cried 100 times and I'll cry 100 more." Men are supposed to share all of their emotions. Yeah,
absolutely. So, and then that puts us here. So I'm trying to get ready to compete sometime in December.
Yeah.
I say try to because I haven't signed up yet.
But you're gonna?
Yeah, I'm gonna. So.
Dude, that's sick. So that means you got a competition coming.
Yes, sir. It'll be in Bremerton at a facility called Dungeon Fitness, and I haven't competed in a year and a half. My last meet was last May, and that was 5 months after getting sober. So I decided to take a while off after that to put down a few consecutive blocks a year of sober training. Because
you don't want to get back into any bad habits.
Yeah, I don't. And I had just, with what I was doing and how I was training, is I just put up a lot of lackluster performances for what I'm capable of. So just wanted to take some time to really get it right and just actually put on some size and not worry about trying to make a class. Because I got stuck in a cycle of, hey, I gained some size, now I'm going to make a weight class underneath, so then there goes all of my muscle, there goes this,
Just take some time to basically just get strong.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had competed I was 196, I was about 204, I water cut the 7 pounds, so my plan was to hit 220 for a year, but now I'm about 230, pushing that, so I got to auto-regulate a little bit, but other than that...
You can do that, though.
Good. Yeah, it'll come off quick.
Yeah, totally.
That's the bonus of being a natural little guy, is my metabolism is very fast.
Right, so you won't have any problem with that.
Yeah, I can drop the weight fast. It took a while, 8 years of training to put this on, but... I think
I did see one of your pictures when I was getting stuff for the to promote the podcast, and I think it definitely saw you were much smaller.
Yeah, it was 80 pounds. 80 pounds.
And that's crazy. So how long did it take you to get that big, man?
It's been about since, I'd say I started gaining mass around 2015. My first few years of training, I wasn't eating enough. I wasn't really doing anything, so I wasn't really gaining anything.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, my biggest gain in size came when I hopped on Performance Enhancers, of course.
Obviously.
That was 2015. I was the lovely powerlifter that did 2 meets and decided he was ready to dabble into the dark side. So don't recommend that for all you out there. It was not a great decision, but it's one I made, so I'm not going to hide from it.
I respect that.
I went from 150 to 180 in about 5 months, and I was the same body fat, still had abs. So that following summer I competed at the weight class above for the first time, and finally put up some scores. I think my total went up almost 300 pounds in that period, so It's a lot of extra weight to be lifting over the course of 6 months. So
Yeah, man, that's really fast.
Yeah, I think my squat went up 100 pounds, my bench went up 60, deadlift about similar. So it was definitely definitely a time.
What are your goals for this meet? Do you have any like number goals or like?
I don't like to play the number game.
I was gonna say even some. I don't even know if you want to like talk about your numbers.
I want to perform the best that I can. I have some things that I'd like to do. My current best squat in competition is 661 in wraps, and I would like to squat that in sleeves.
Okay.
Which I think I'm capable of, and I'd like to bench over 4, which I think I'm capable of. And deadlift has been kind of a shit show for a few years, so. I would just like to hit all my attempts.
What style do you do for deadlift?
I've been competing sumo for my entire career. However, that might be changing. I've just gotten a lot stronger with my back, so I think I can muscle up some weight now that I used to not be able to. But my best meet pull is 600. I've pulled that my last 4 competitions. I just couldn't really do any better. This meet in May, I got 640 up to the top. It was really easy, and then I dropped it as baby powder on the bar.
Yeah, see, to me, that's like a lot. That's dope. But.
I mean, I think it's a lot.
Yeah,
I think that's close to the international elite. It's called for the class, which is our pro.
Right.
That's I believe they derive those from the top 0.1% of global scores. So if you're hitting those international elite numbers, you're a pro. There's just no pro card in our sport, but that's what I call it.
Okay, that makes sense.
So those are the numbers that I'm really shooting for. Is I would like to say that I am an international elite lifter in the class that I'm in, and then I'll go from there. But that's the goals that I would like to hit in the near future. I've hit elite, which is the 1%, which is underneath that, in about I think 4 classes. So
okay,
I've done pretty well for myself, but it's definitely not the pinnacle. So we're not done yet.
Nah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And when you have those goals, I feel like it really, besides having your clients and all that to keep you on point, I feel like those goals too, like you got to train hard because that's coming up.
Yeah, right? It's coming up, so that's why it's important to pick a date. So you have a date.
Yeah, sometimes putting a date on something really changes everything. Doesn't
it gets you going. It makes it feel less casual. But I've got school going on too, and the team, so I just got to.
What are you going to school for?
I'm doing my undergrad right now, so I'm not technically majored in anything, but I am in a STEM program.
Yeah,
I'd like to go to UW for the astrophysics. I'm a physics space boy. That's my thing.
No shit.
And a minor in math, and I've always been a math kid.
Fucking powerlifting motherfucker, and then you're gonna be a fucking like physicist.
Trying to bring the brain into the brawn.
I think that's a misconception about lifters for sure.
Well, a lot of the good guys, a lot of the top guys are smart. You don't really get there commonly by being an idiot. I mean, there's plenty of people on the top that just followed orders and got really big and really strong, but it's a little bit different in the sport because you take on a lot of aspects of biomechanics and a different, physics comes into account in the sport. So I'm not saying that everybody who's a top lifter is a physicist, but there's definitely a certain...
But like I said, like guys like Lane Norton, you get like Andrew Huberman, like some of these dudes that are just like, I don't know, the science-based part of it is so interesting.
Yeah, it takes a different approach. I mean, I'm not discrediting other sports by any means. They're all valuable in their own ways, have their own challenges, but I definitely see that a lot in the top-level lifters is they have to attack things from a different avenue, and you see that in what kind of people are up there.
It's like the body's like the science project.
I mean, it is for all of us.
Yeah.
Mine dedefinitely is. It's an experiment, seeing what you're capable of. Absolutely.
Different forms of intelligence are so interesting.
It is.
Like, you get like a guy like Mike Tyson. I mean, look at this guy. Like, some people would say he's not intelligent or whatever, but like, if you actually listen to him, he's definitely got this different kind of intelligence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, so it is weird, like, so like some of those guys that like, lifters that get to like the top but are maybe they don't seem that intelligent, they might be in a different way.
Yeah, in a different way.
Like how to use their body or how to control their body. Or like,
that's a form of intelligence, absolutely. Bodily awareness, and that's something that some people don't have. And, to be a fighter like Tyson was, you definitely have some sort of skill going in there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like there's definitely some kind of different kind of intelligence in that guy. There's profound stuff that he says sometimes. But to somebody else looking in, they might be like, he's not that smart, like he talked like this and all that. Like, it's like, but I don't know. That's interesting, dude. So that's cool, man.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do with that degree?
I would like to be part of any team that helps us get to Mars somehow. That's I know it's a very blanket statement, but I would like to be part of that. I think SpaceX is going to do it. I don't really think NASA or Blue Origin or.
So basically, you're trying to work at SpaceX.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
For Elon.
I think Elon's going to get us there.
Dude, he's the man.
If anyone's going to do it, he's going to do it.
I love that guy.
The NASA's not going to do it. They don't have the funding. The private sector is going to do it.
Well, it's like people hate him because he's a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think he's one of the like he's someone that's gonna do something different in the world. Like he's leading us.
Yeah.
Like he's an important figure in humanity, I think.
He's a billionaire for a reason. He's a weird dude, but he's a smart dude, and everyone that's that smart is a little weird.
Exactly, man. Yeah, he is that smart.
And he's gonna be the one to get us there. He's bold. And
well, what if you're part of that? You might be.
If I'm the janitor, I'm happy,
Right.
I mean, I know that I'm...
Because someday we're going to be on Mars. I know it. Like, that's
we don't,
weird.
this planet's going to die eventually. We're sinking this thing to the drain, so...
That's the sad thing. How long do you think it's got?
I mean, it depends. If you look at a global climate level, we're up, 3 degrees this century, average globally, and they say at any point, even 0.1 could tip us over a no-return point in terms of the temperature, just gradually.
Yeah, I always wonder, like... I feel like there's definitely like a long period of time ahead for human. Like I don't feel like we're like towards the end of humanity, but it's definitely like short in terms of probably, I mean, we think of things in like lifetimes of like 100 years, so it's but yeah. So I don't know. I don't know.
Look at other animals. Other animals are around for millions. We've only been around for 10,000, something like that, and things aren't looking good.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
I think we're more likely to blow each other to smithereens before the planet goes.
Well, I hope we don't do that.
Well, that's why we need to get out of here.
Shout out to Putin. Don't be hitting that button, bro.
Yeah, with what's going on over there.
Don't fucking do it. Yeah, that shit's weird.
Well, I'll get you on my rocket ship to Mars when things go down.
Yeah, that's so funny because we keep talking about music, and I keep beating this Megadeth album up, but the new album has a song called Mission to Mars, and it's like the coolest song, and it's got like all these like sound effects and shit, it's kind of like a story song, so like there's all these like sound effects of like you can hear them like communicating to the I don't know, you'll have to listen to it to get it, but it's so fucking catchy. I mean, it's just like the chorus is like blast off, I'm on my way, I'm a shooting star. Man on a mission to Mars. It's just like this really dope song.
Maybe it's a sign.
It might be, but like it does not end well for the song. I mean, the guy in the song.
No,
like, I don't think he makes it. If you listen to the song.
Oh no.
Because it's like a story, catchy, and then the end's like really heavy shit. And then I don't think he makes it, dude.
Poor Dave Mustaine.
Dave Mustaine doesn't make it.
Rip in peace,
Dave Mustaine. Rust in peace, bro.
Rust in peace.
Yeah,
there we go. I love it.
Yeah. They shout out that line in the song, too. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's like, why don't we just let it all rust in peace out there? Like,
it's heavy.
Dude, it's good shit.
It's heavy. But yeah, so that's what I'm up to here. Getting my training into gear.
I was trying to get Dave at the body shop to listen to it, dude. He did. It's so funny because he is so hardcore about
music. You should get him here.
Oh, I got to get Dave here, but I'm scared, dude.
Why? He's a nice guy.
I love Dave because he's like so fucking old school, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like he's like one of those guys I totally respect because like I mean I think the guy knows what he knows his shit. Yeah. But he's such a like hard ass dude, you know, and I'm always like, fuck, am I fucking up? Am I fucking up? Is Dave pissed at me? I don't know, but I respect the shit out of him.
100%. That's why I get along well with Dave because he's kind of like that. Him and I have a similar commonality.
He's old school,
and that's what I learned from where we're from. It's guys like him, white guys, bald guys covered in tattoos that are just here.
There's something about it, and he's old school mentality, like like. Most of us are out there, we're lifting, we're bodybuilding, and then we're taking our little fucking selfies and our social media shit. And I feel like he's just got no time for that shit,
No time. I don't think he knows how to use a phone.
And there's something about those old school fucking hardcore dudes that they don't need that validation from that type of shit. Yeah. And it just makes me respect the shit out of him. But I definitely would love to get him on here sometime. He'd be a cool guest.
It would be good. Absolutely.
I think so. I don't even know his story or anything, dude.
He's got a wild story. He's told me some things, and this dude has done some incredible things in his life.
Oh, shit.
He'll tell you some stories that'll shock you.
I believe it. I believe it. But he's a hardcore metalhead. Yeah. He's like one of them dudes, like, he won't listen to Metallica after fucking the 4th album, or, he's one of those old school.
I'm with him on that one, though. I'm sorry.
You don't like anything after that?
No. What was it? The Day That Never Comes was the last one. It was Death Magnetic. Death Magnetic.
You like Death Magnetic?
That was the last okay one.
That was kind of their return to form.
Yeah.
So, like, they did the 4, original albums, which were just phenomenal. And then they did the Black Album, which that's the one where everybody thinks they sold out, because that's like Enter Sandman and Unforgiven, biggest hit. And then they went on and did like the Load and Reload albums, and that's where people really got pissed at him. And then they did Saint Anger, which was kind of like that early 2000s type of shit with the trash can fucking drums that everybody was pissed off about. But then, Death Magnetic was kind of like their return to metal.
Yeah.
And that was a good album.
It had a few good licks on it.
Oh, fuck, that's a good album.
That was it was around the Napster era, LimeWire era. I think it was around then.
Yeah, remember that shit? We were talking about that on the last podcast, too, how fucking crazy that LimeWire shit was.
Hey, it was a game changer for my life because I wouldn't have got the music elsewhere. So
it was cool, man. I was saying, too, I was like downloading a lot of like live stuff from bands that I loved that I never would have got to hear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, you're like, because I was so into music, and then it's like, man, they have like whatever, a live version of this song. I've never fucking heard that. You could just get that shit, you know?
And they slap.
Yeah, that shit. Oh, hell yeah, dude.
And then your computer gets a virus.
And then your computer gets a virus and it fucking crashes.
Yeah, my parents hated us. I'm one of 5, so there was 5 of us using the family computer and just trashing that
who's
thing.
Who's using LimeWire and ruining the computer again?
Yeah, right? And then playing all kinds of games and just destroying it, but yeah.
That's the old school shit. I remember that, dude. That's so funny.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on the computer growing up. I was a big gamer.
Right. What games?
Dude, I played World of Warcraft. Like an MF, and then I was big.
How is that game? All I know about that game is like the South Park episode.
The South Park episode's on point.
It was, right? That dude just like sitting in his basement, and the only way they can beat him is by becoming fat slobs. Like, remember that shit? They didn't leave. He's like, bathroom. Eric's like asking his mom for the bathroom.
Yeah,
bathroom.
Where's my bottle? Pee in the can. Yeah.
Oh fuck.
When that came out, I was like in the heat of playing the game, and I remember all my buddies and I were laughing because it felt so accurate. Because when you were really tunneled into that, you played that game, you were in it. You know, you felt like you were immersed. It's kind of gone downhill now, but back then, like that was going out with the boys to the club. That was it.
So like,
up and
you talk to each other on there, right?
Yeah, you put on headsets, and you get with your buddies, and then when the end game competitive play, you play with a team of 25.
No shit.
And that's when it becomes off the hook because you got 24 other people in this chat, and you're trying to fight these bosses that have really intricate rules you got to follow around, and it gets wild.
It's probably cool as fuck.
It is.
It sounds like like Call of Duty's like that too. Like I saw this meme, and it was something like, like why did men had to like invent a video game just to like be able to get on the phone and talk to each other, to deal with their problems. It's like they can't do it because like if they talk to each other, God. that's weird.
Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, babe? You talking to your buddies? No, I'm playing games.
Yeah, it's like, well, no, you don't get it. We're not talking about our feelings and problems.
Yeah.
We're playing the game.
Yeah, it's
different.
Okay.
We're not doing that fucking girl
scars. Yeah, I'm not like that.
It's like, it's okay. You just need some support from your friends. No, it's not like that.
Which is honestly, that's what playing the game came out to be, because you'd be playing for some 10 hours straight, and then, you start talking about your life, and it was like a therapy session playing the game with your boys.
Right. I believe it, man. That is, yeah.
I played a lot of Call of Duty, too. I was a monster at that game. I played with a major league team a couple matches, and then I stopped playing. But
you don't play anymore?
I got too many anger problems with that game, so I had to stop for my own.
Yeah.
I was playing Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 1, and I remember in particular in Modern Warfare 2, if you get 25 kills, you end the game.
Okay.
And when you hit 24 kills and someone shoots you with a little rocket launcher, you get angry.
No shit. Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I remember. I never had anything like where I got that angry at a game, but me and my buddy Brad, we used to play this wrestling games. So it was like SmackDown versus Raw 2000, whatever.
I remember those.
Yeah, Raw versus SmackDown, whatever it was. And I remember like we created wrestlers, and you could give them these fucking like specialty things, and he gave his character this thing called Rampage mode, and I gave mine these different characteristics, and like, so I got so pissed because like every time I would have him beat and I would do like 3 finishers to him, he would hit this button because he gave his character this thing which would cause him to go into Rampage mode, which just healed him immediately and made him like and I'm like, how am I ever supposed to beat you? Like, so I felt like Rampage mode was not fair.
You should have put on Rampage.
And I should have just used Rampage mode, and then I could have been even. Yeah, but instead I was like, trying to make my point. And I remember throwing the fucking remote a few times, like you said. Like, that's the only time I ever got that angry at
over
a game.
Rampage mode.
Because shit's not fair, dude.
No, it's not fair. Definitely not fair.
I'm not using Rampage mode, but whatever.
Yeah, Rampage mode, if you're listening out there, screw you.
Right. I think part of me wanted to like prove that I could like beat him even though he had Rampage mode.
Did you ever think maybe he was just better than you at the game?
No.
No way.
Never.
How dare you? It's cheating.
No, what if he was? Yeah, that's probably true. Maybe that's just all it was. He was just better than me, bro.
Yeah, right?
Shout out to Brad Rhea. He was better than me, that son of a bitch.
He's listening right now like, yes.
Might be. I
Finally got him to admit it after
Finally,
all these years.
I told him I beat him. Yeah. He'll be happy to hear that.
But wrestling, I meant to ask you, what's with your wrestling career?
The wrestling thing was, it was kind of similar to like, I don't know if bodybuilding was like your dream from when you were a kid. Or did you have any like dream? Was that something you? So for me, it was like since I was in 8th grade, I wanted to be a wrestler. Mm-hmm. And ever since it was that era of like Stone Cold, The Rock, Mick Foley, Undertaker, Kane,
of course,
Chris Jericho, and we got really deep into that shit, dude. And like, I just remember like me and my buddies our buddy Al, he had this trampoline and it had like the sides on it. We pretended it was a cage.
I remember I had
like,
one of those too.
But I remember like being delusional, thinking like I could actually do this. I felt like, because I was a tall kid, like I said, and then when I got to college and started lifting weights with those buddies of mine, after that I was just like, I can do it. And so I just started, I found a school and I was in college and I started driving like 2 hours every weekend to this little school, got trained, started wrestling, did it from like 2008 to 2016.
Damn.
Pretty regularly. And I mean, it was like for a while it was my life. I just ate, breathed, sleep. Everything was wrestling. Like I'd watch old wrestling like it was like watching tape, like studying tape, and like it's surprising how much that stuff just absorbs into you.
Yeah.
So like you're watching, it's like, it looks like this dude's just like sitting around watching old wrestling matches, but it's actually like getting absorbed into yourself.
Learning.
And then when you go, it is weird how we visually can learn.
Yeah.
Like probably even in lifting, there's a certain, I mean, obviously you're going to have to coach more, right? When you actually somebody's going to go do a squat. But just the fact of watching people probably helps you get the basic idea.
I mean, you'd be surprised how much your body does and learns subconsciously without you thinking about it. And
crazy.
body mirroring. That kind of stuff is definitely very proven to be effective. So a lot of it is that, absolutely.
But yeah, dude, it's just a passion,
What made you stop?
Really, it was kind of, I mean, in wrestling, you basically retire like 50 times. So I think the first time was like, I was obsessed with it, wanted it so bad. And then I put in these 2 years that like from like 2010 to 2012 were probably my best years where I was just like really killing it. And that's when I had the championship belt for this small promotion called Impact Pro Wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
So that meant I was like the champion for them for 2 years. So I put like a ton of pressure on myself because that meant to me that you have to be like the best match on the show.
Yeah.
You have to carry yourself the best.
Put on the best performance.
Because
that's what a lot of it is, right? With that wrestling that you're doing, it's a show. It's
a show. It's a performance. More. I mean, it's athletic too, but it's definitely a performance, and it matters. Like that matters a lot. Like how, the performance aspect. But
yeah.
And then so 2012, I just like all that pressure. I just decided like, well, I'm gonna quit. I just can't do this. I'm because I was in bands too.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't realize the power of like just fucking doing things, or like I always took stuff way too serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like I could have just kept wrestling, and I should have.
Yeah, and just doing it for the sake of the love of the game.
Yeah, just doing it because you love it. But I was like, yeah, and I'd also had like a couple WWE tryouts too that were actually after that kind of pulled me back in.
Yeah.
So the work that I did those years did pay off in a sense because it got me like in front of these guys. So it would be like Jim Ross and Jerry Briscoe. You probably don't know them. Maybe Jim Ross. He was like the announcer back in the day.
No,
like young. The cowboy hat and everything. He was like the guy that was like Stone Cold. Oh my God.
Okay.
He's broken in half.
Yeah.
That guy. So like, and I totally respect Jim Ross. He's one of the best in the game. Probably the best. My favorite announcer of all time would be Jim Ross. But he was one of the guys where like we had a tryout match in front of him and Jerry Briscoe, who's also a well-respected guy in the business, and they sent me to Florida for a tryout with WWE. So that was like a thing where it was like, so this is 2012, And then I'm not hearing back from them. And I get all discouraged, like, oh, fuck, I guess it's not going to happen. And I stop taking it serious. Then I do hear from them much later, and I'm like, shit. And then by then I had already kind of, like, retired from wrestling and gotten this, like, attitude. And so then I'm trying to, like, oh, shit, I got to get back in shape. I got to get all this because now I do have this tryout. And anyway, so I ended up, I had a couple tryouts with them and stuff. Never actually got signed.
Down in Florida? You flew out?
In Florida. They flew me to Florida. Awesome. It was like a 3-day tryout. They put you, there's like 5 rings in there. It's at the school, Full Sail University, I think. It's the school in Florida. They call it like the NXT training pro. But anyway, so like you go there, they beat the fuck out of you because like it's like get in the ring, do this drill, do this drill.
Was there a bunch of other guys there?
Oh yeah, there's like 50 or 60 guys there, like, and you're just in a big line, and they put you through, the 5 rings, and it's like they really trying to blow up your cardio, trying to break you down, trying to see if you're gonna quit. A lot of drills, just drill after drill.
How were they assessing you? Were they just throwing you in there and saying like, "What do you do?"
Yeah, just kind of watching you, I think. Watching how you move your body and everything. And then I think we also had some chances to do like promo stuff, maybe a few like practice. I don't know if I ever got a match in front of them. Like I know like Kevin Owens was there, or Kevin Steen he was called when I was there, but he wrestles as Kevin Owens now. And yeah, I don't know, it was a cool experience. And then I kept wrestling after that. I think I had a few other, not like I definitely had one more tryout that was at in Columbus, Ohio, and it was actually at the Arnold Classic. So I got to be at the Arnold Classic. It was kind of weird. It was
been
like
to one once.
Yeah, it was pretty dope. They had like you know, all the bodybuilders were there. I got to see Arnold. I think Triple H was there.
Wow.
It was kind of like a mini, like, we're at the Arnold Classic. Here's an hour of what we do in Florida type of tryout. So it was like a tryout, but it was kind of like we just brought you guys in to show an hour of basically what we do down in Florida. So it was cool though.
Yeah. Did they pay for you to fly out there?
Oh yeah, they paid. I've never had to pay for anything with them. WWE's awesome. Like when you go to your tryouts, they pay for everything. They put you up in the hotel. Even when I did like extra talent, because that's kind of leading up to it too. I did a bunch of extra talent things where like if they were nearby in my town, they pay you like $200. You know, it's like. Yeah, but anyways, I kept wrestling, and I think I had a few more extra talent things that I did, but never got signed or anything. And then I was working in a bar, and me and my buddy moved here, and we were going to start a band, and I did move here and started a band. And ever since I moved here, which was 2017.
From Iowa?
From Iowa, I just never found wrestling again. So it wasn't like I really quit because I was like, fuck wrestling, I'm done with it, or I'm too old. It was just like I just moved here, and it's like that's maybe an excuse because there's probably tons of wrestling schools here.
Yeah. And you found something else.
But I kind of got into other stuff. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. You didn't quit. You just found a new love. That's all right.
Right. So now I'm into this bodybuilding thing pretty big time, and I'm pretty much, I'd say it's, the last couple of years have been probably the best couple of years of my life. For sure. Yeah.
I'm into that.
Kind of like what you said with like finding powerlifting and quitting drinking and everything. I think when you find something that gives you purpose, and now my goal is to try to do the same thing. I want to be a trainer, and I want to like help people.
Fuck yeah.
Because I think there's so much value in helping people.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're here for, make the world a better place, you know.
It really does, man, when you talk about that shit, integrity, and then like trying to... Yeah, there's just something you get this value out of, like you said, even those little moments where you're inspiring people, man.
Yeah, and you know, I have had big moments too. I have people that have come back from substance abuse on my team too and turned their lives around. I've had people that had no hobbies at all and were just wasting away and thank me for turning things around, just for introducing them to a sport. That's really all I did. Just like somebody did that for me as well, which brought me through a lot of things as well. So it feels good. It definitely feels good to make an impact.
Right, because sometimes people, all they really need is like a purpose.
Yeah, just
and they don't realize
it doesn't
that.
matter what it is. You know, I could have showed them how to competitively sheep herd or something like that. You know, they just needed something that they were into. That's
have you ever heard that there's a dude, Johan Hari, that has done a bunch of research on like depression and all this stuff, and like I think he's written some books about it, but he was a guest on a podcast and he was talking about this story where like, I can't remember what, they were in some like other country where it was like these like, you know, really not like here, not like a modern country. It would be like, I can't remember where, but like they were in a tribe or something, and they asked the guy like talking about antidepressants, and he's like, oh, we have antidepressants here. He's like, we bought this person a cow. Like that was like, he's like, what do you mean? Like that's an antidepressant? He's like, yeah, they were very depressed and, you know, like couldn't get out of bed. They couldn't do anything. Well, we gave them this cow to take care of, and now they're happy. And they take care of. They take care of the cow every day. They feed it. They clean it. They, you know, all it's like. So it was really just needing purpose.
You know, that's what I should have done. I should have just got a cow.
You could have just got a cow to take care of, dude. Yeah.
I went to the therapist and they're like, stop drinking, just get a cow, man. What do you?
Just get a cow, bro. You're gonna be fine. You won't drink anymore.
Yeah, and when it passes away, you can eat it. And there you go.
Oh, and that's good food
for the year.
You're not like vegan or anything.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely a meat eater.
Yeah, what's your diet consist of?
Right now, I pretty much I found out that I have gluten and dairy intolerance, which is lovely. So that narrows down my window of foods I'm allowed to eat. So I wake up in the morning, have a bunch of oatmeal, little small bowl of cereal before I eat the oatmeal, just to get me going, because I hate eating in the morning.
Because oatmeal doesn't have gluten?
It doesn't, no.
Okay.
Very easy to digest. Doesn't give me any acid reflux or anything like that. And then from the rest of the day, I pretty much just eat rotisserie chicken and rice and some nuts and some avocados, you know.
Very bodybuilder-ish.
I go to Costco and we buy a couple of these things and I pull them all apart and just throw them in there, which is great because I can have a little more fat as a powerlifting folk. So it's really nice.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yep.
So the gluten and dairy thing, is that hard for you?
Well, I've recently found this out about a week ago, so I haven't really been at it for too long. I went to do primary care, and for acid reflux issues, I've dealt with it my whole life. So she suggested some food elimination, but it hasn't really been so difficult because I don't really eat much gluten dairy products.
I kind of pretty much already do that.
Yeah. I found out that a lot of things are gluten-free that I didn't know were, so there's definitely options. So it's not so bad, and I kind of like it because it gives me more reason to just not eat like a piece of shit. Because
I know sometimes those type of things, like when someone finds out there's something intolerant, like it's actually just like a blessing because they're like, well, I guess it means I can't eat too much cheese.
It made my decision for me, and I get that choice paralysis of like what to eat, and now that's a whole section of food that's just gone. I can't touch dairy. Well, thanks.
Because, I mean, most of the dairy is going to be full of sugar and fat. Like,
yeah, and then I'll just be farting all day, and I don't really want that.
Nobody needs that.
Nobody needs that. People at the body shop don't want that.
I wonder how many people are farting nonstop there.
I mean, I fart pretty much.
That's a lot of big dudes. It's a lot of big dudes.
A lot of big dudes, a lot of protein going down.
Yeah, a lot of protein.
Yep, a lot of times it's a small place, you'll pass gas in the corner and somebody will just walk by. And you're like, God.
Only one stall in the bathroom too.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
That's always funny. Yeah. It's like always who's in there. Like, oh, that's gonna be a minute. Like.
Yep. Every time you hear our boy Dave come out, it's gonna be a monster in there.
Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do, dude? It's part of life, right?
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's our diets. Something about it makes us smelly dudes. I don't know.
It's just part of it, dude.
I don't know all the chemistry behind that.
It's part of bodybuilding. You're going to be eating a lot of food. And
yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. So what goals do you have coming up other than your powerlifting show in the next year, like with the business, with your lifting? What do you see yourself doing? I mean, obviously you're going to school, so you're going to be taking us to Mars. But besides that,
well, I want to continue going to school, so that's part of that. Aside from the competition, with my lifting careers, I would love to do a bodybuilding show actually sometime late next year or whenever I'm ready. It just comes down to fixing the shitty powerlifter physique, which is little calves, little biceps, the glamour muscles that we don't really need to push as hard. So just fixing those things, but I think I'm definitely on the right path. Definitely excited to see what's underneath all this when the time comes.
And is that just something you've always wanted to do, or because you're around all that, it's like...
I've always wanted to do it. Right. I mean, seeing people do it, and it definitely motivates me a little bit more because I love being the strongest guy in the gym, but you don't get the respect unless you're also the biggest guy in the gym. So I kind of want to size up a little bit to try to be a top dog in both sports. So
see, that's so weird for me because like I can like when I see you, I'm like strongest because like power lifters, you can just tell it's like just the amount of weight. It's like it's so different. They're such different sports.
They're very different. I definitely think that they're both pretty beautiful sports in their own rights.
Right, because a lot of bodybuilders are strong as fuck too.
Yeah, I mean you definitely can be.
They're not all though.
They're not all. I don't really know too much of the science behind gaining mass and lifting weights and stuff. Some other people can chime in on that, but I definitely want to lift big and look big. I respect to the bodybuilders out there, but I don't really see the fun in being big and being weak. It's all for show.
No, that's the thing. Like, there's got to
really
be some kind of functional aspect.
Yeah, and that's what I do like about powerlifting is the sport is actually you're performing something. You know,
Yes.
in bodybuilding you're just kind of showing yourself off, which I don't really like that as much as the idea of like, hey, you know, I did all this work for this lift, watch me perform it.
It's like, what if, say that the world was going to come to an end, there's zombie apocalypse.
I think about this all the time.
Yeah, zombie apocalypse. What one of those things is probably going to translate better to being a survivalist? I bet powerlifting.
Yeah,
I bet you're going to be, you know, because like the bodybuilder would be like, well, I can't eat every 2 hours and I don't have all my supplements.
And I can't run more than 40
But
feet.
it's like, we don't need that right now. We need to like lift this log off of this person. Like we're like, the world's ended. There's zombies.
Zombies, man.
So I feel like powerlifting might translate better.
You know who would win is strongmen. They would be the zombie apocalypse.
They would, or
They're
like
the real
those
ones.
fucking like CrossFit people.
CrossFitters would beat us too.
They would.
They definitely would. But if you need to pick up a car or somebody off somebody, I'd call the pro. No, probably the strongman too. Damn
The
it.
strongman could
Damn
pick
it.
that car up, dude.
All right, strongman, you win.
They win,
Yes,
dude. They're
you
crazy.
win. That's a man sport.
I think how much they have to eat.
Yeah, they got to eat big, be big. You know, those guys are 490 pounds, I think, what Thor Bjornsson was. Pushing
Yeah, and that's
that
the
weight.
biggest name is that Thor.
Or
dude,
390,
right?
something like that. But, yeah, those are monsters.
Was that shit real, like his girlfriend being that small?
I think so, yeah. I mean, when you're 6'9", whatever he was, everyone's small.
Oh, my God. I always just remember those like memes where you see him and his girlfriend. It's like, how in the fuck?
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, that's funny,
I believe it.
dude.
And the guy's a monster. He was a guy, he did a powerlifting meet a few years ago, and he'd never done one before, and he just came in with a few months of prep and put like the third heaviest total of all time in powerlifting.
But when you're that big of a dude, just he's got some kind of Viking genetics or some shit.
Yeah, there's something in guys like that. I don't have that. I was 130 pounds at 18.
Right. It's like, it's definitely different. Well, it's kind of like Brock Lesnar. He goes into anything, he's going to do good. He's going to dominate it.
It must be nice to be one of those guys.
Because like he should not have been as good at mixed martial arts as he was. But he had all that wrestling background, and then he has this genetic freak body.
Just a freak.
He went right to the top.
I know, yeah, you've met people like that too, for sure. I remember growing up, one of my childhood best friends, a kid named Frank Walden, who was just that brute, you know, not trying hard strength. And I remember I had been lifting for years, and brought him to the gym once, and he just pretty much cold cock, no warm up, pulls 500 pounds. And I was like, okay, I trained for years and took drugs to do this.
But isn't there something kind of cool about having to work super hard for it that
Absolutely.
makes you appreciate something inside?
You know how good I
yourself?
feel watching these guys from high school looking like shit, doing nothing, and I'm crushing them. Like, that makes me feel good. Yeah,
I say that all the time to people. I say that to people all the time if there's like younger people that are talking to me about like, so-and-so here is mean to me, so-and-so. I'm like, don't worry, someday, someday they're going to be grown up and they're going to be like fucking losers, doing nothing, living this life that they fucking hate, sitting on the couch, eating potato chips, drinking beer with a wife that they hate, probably doing nothing, and you're going to be killing it. So just don't fucking worry.
Amen, brother.
So don't fucking worry.
Amen.
Don't worry about what they say. Don't worry about them bullying you because they're going to be nobody someday. Like,
I didn't get bullied or anything, but...
well, that's the thing. It's, I don't know.
I remember once, though, I was playing basketball in elementary, and I was on JV team, and the varsity kids jokingly told me that I was on varsity for the day, and I should sit with them, and the teacher comes up, coach says, "What are you doing over here, Zach?" And they were fucking with me.
Yeah.
But that's the most closest to bullying I've ever
That's
had.
the meanest thing.
But all those kids went up to play football in high school, and now none of them are doing anything with their lives. So,
Well, that's always the saddest thing, dude. Like,
well, I wish them the best, of course. I make fun. They're all nice guys. But, definitely, like you said, the people in high school that are those people are not going to be that.
well, it's just the thing about wanting to stay in the present moment. So, like, I don't ever want to be like, even with like all the wrestling and stuff I did, I don't want to ever be like, oh, that's like my identity is in this thing that I used to do. I want my identity to be in what I'm doing right now, and I want that to be the most important thing. Like, I always want to consider right now as the best I'm doing. It's like, that's what I'm focused on. So sometimes I think those dudes that kind of peak in high school or like play sports in high school and they sit around and talk about that for the rest of their lives, that can be kind of sad.
Yeah, it's saddening.
It's like, find something new. Like, what have you done for me lately type of thing.
I think about that a lot with these kind of people, and what you're talking about hard work is what I think it comes down to is when people are naturally good at stuff is they never had to learn how to work hard. When you're naturally strong and you're naturally, the best running back in the school, you never had to learn how to work hard, and then you see those people hit a plateau and they don't know how to break it because they never had to try.
Right.
I deal with that a lot in lifting because I've had so many rivals in my life, and so many people that are just naturally strong, and then they start to hit a wall because they were just gifted.
Yes.
And I learned how to break through it because I was weak. I remember first time I squatted, high school. I squatted 135 and fell, and everybody laughed at me. So. You kind of come back from that and you learn how to work hard, and that's why I got into where I'm at. And those people didn't. You
it gives you this hardness, probably.
It does. And if you never had that, because you were always the hot shot in school, when adversity hits, you don't know what to do. You just run. So I think I'm happy for having the genetics that I'd had, because I definitely wouldn't have the work ethic. I was kind of an asshole kid. I had an ego. I mean, I still do. We all do. But if I was gifted too, I never would have worked hard in my life. What do you mean?
If you do have an ego, you carry it pretty well, because...
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
You always seem really chill in the gym.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that. I think everybody has a little bit of that. We're men. We all have an ego at some point. When someone comes up to me and says, Dave actually sometimes give me tips, and I listen to him, but at first I'm like, fuck you. Like, what do you know?
He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking
but
about.
But then I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
You just got to
wait a minute. Actually, he might have a point.
Yeah, we all have that, but you got to just suck it up and put it aside. We're all here to help each other, kind of thing.
Right.
So, but
you can't have a better place for that. Like you said, you're like the sum of the 5 people you hang out with.
I love that so much.
It's so true, isn't it?
All the time. And if you have 5 people that suck, well, you got 0 people, cut them all out.
I know,
you gotta saying that a buddy of mine, Micah, told me is best way to make sure there's no snakes in the grass is cut it short.
Right.
Keep your circle small, and because the people you're around, like you said, when you learn watching behavior, you learn that from the people you're around. And if the people you're around are just waiting for the weekend, guess who's waiting for the weekend? You are.
Right.
So,
yeah, I always think that would be like the worst life too, is just to have a job where all I do is like wait for the weekend.
I feel bad for it. Honestly, it's 99% of people. And it's sad because you were talking about earlier with like Cures for Depression and stuff like that, giving someone a purpose. I think all these people that live these lives just never found the thing that really gives them life, and that's why they're stuck in the cycle. And it's hard to get out of it. It's really hard to get out of it because you get stuck in that 50-hour work week just working for the weekend, and then you have to try to get energy to learn something new and go out there.
And then you just wait for that thing that's going to give you like relief, which is a lot of times alcohol or like...
It's instant gratification. That's what it was. That's what it is, for me at least, is when I would drink the alcohol, literally a minute later I felt better. So it's hard to continue to convince yourself to work hard when you can just get rid of it right away.
Right. It's like instant relief instead of like the long term. I always think the long term things that take a long time are so much more rewarding. It's kind of like everything. If you just went through life and you just did whatever you want, whenever you want, think about what a piece of shit you'd be.
Yeah.
Just like giving in to every pleasure, every
That's
craving.
Autopilot.
If I want to go downstairs and eat every Rice Krispie treat that I have just because I feel like it,
that's living on autopilot. When you're just living by like, oh, what do I want to do? Like, what's fun? That's your body's. That's not you. That's your autopilot, just living on responsive. I need to eat.
It's kind of like those hierarchy of needs, right? You're just in that survival.
Yeah,
mode,
you're just in that survival. You're not doing anything, So people just got to find the purpose to get out of that. But yeah.
Well, yeah, man. So I imagine that because of this. Beating the alcohol thing, and with the training, you probably have an opportunity to help a lot of people that maybe have that same problem, and like offer maybe training as a way to, because usually, sometimes I feel like a lot of times with like addictions, you have to almost replace it with something.
Oh, 100%. And the same thing goes with any negative behavior.
So you got to replace it with something healthy.
Absolutely, and that's the biggest thing that people go, and I actually learned this in behavioral therapy, it's the biggest mistake people make with getting rid of bad habits or bad thought patterns is they focus on just getting rid of it and not replacing it. Because if you get rid of something and there's nothing there, what do you do with that space? Well, when your body just goes back to what it knows. Your body will always revert to what it did yesterday as a response, so if you don't replace it with something, that's why people who chew gum to get rid of smoking. You need to replace it with something.
Yep. That makes total sense.
Absolutely. So, I did replace it with lifting, and I replaced it now with smoking marijuana. But
dude, I was thinking, it's so funny. I was talking today to somebody, and they're like, "Do you smoke?" And I'm like, "Not really," but I'm like, "I probably should."
Hey, I smoked on the way in here.
What? That's why this conversation's so good, bro. I knew it.
The secret is I actually microdose psilocybin, and
tell me about that.
I'm partially tripping right now, my man, so that's why it's going good.
No, how is the psilocybin thing? Does that help a lot with like?
Dude, honestly, through substance abuse, I've gone through a lot of psychiatric care and dealt with so many medications. I've taken everything that you could think of, and psilocybin at a very small dose, like
Right.
a 30th of what you trip on, is more effective than any prescription medication I've ever taken. And I even did 3 months of magnetic brain treatment. I got up every day at 7 in the morning, and they shocked my brain for an hour to try to cure depression. Because, this was in Connecticut. I qualified for this free treatment because I had taken 5 antidepressants, 5 mood stabilizers, like I had taken everything, and they just said, we got to try this. And all that stuff, one little mushroom pill is more effective in terms of treating my sides.
And so, what are your thoughts on like depression medication? Then do you?
Western medicine, it's all sham. It's all
That's
fraud.
what I'm kind of like.
100%. It's symptom treatment.
I'm like, if people need it, I understand it, and I don't want to put it down or anything. But a lot of times, I think you're right. It's like they're not treating the root cause.
Oh, they're not. I'm seeing a new physician now that's holistic health that treat the root causes of things. But most Western medicine, whenever you get a prescription, they just want you out. You feel
it's so
bad.
much about money.
Yeah, you know how much money these people make? God, some of these prescriptions I've had, it's like before insurance, it's like $3,000 a month. I'm like, you are crooks. This is disgusting.
When the insurance is all part of the fraud too. Like I heard, like basically the 5 insurance companies pretty much run everything.
Yeah,
it's like big 5 companies.
Yeah, and they probably got their hands in the politicians' pockets.
Right, so it's like you go get blood work done. It's like, but they don't like allow you to actually get a full panel because it's like, well, we're not paying for that, or that. So you think you're like getting. So really, you could go get your blood work done. And then it's like, well, we didn't find anything, but really they didn't take a full blood panel. They just did what the insurance
chose not
let
to
them.
find anything.
And then like you actually could be really sick or something, and you're not finding out about it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many things wrong with the system.
It's like I get it. I'm thankful for pharmaceutical because there's many wonderful things it does, but it's also so much about money.
It is. I think it all started off with good intentions of, this substance helps somebody with this, but when you just treat a symptom, you don't teach somebody how to fix it. You're just.
But they're definitely studying psilocybin microdosing for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, finally,
I think
which is cool.
A couple months ago, 2 states passed it for research use, not recreational, of course.
I think that's going to be huge. And it always seems like everything in medicine or science is always like 20 years behind.
Yeah.
So it's like you have all these people that'll be telling you this thing, and it's like, is that like 20 years ago we thought that? You're like so behind.
Well, it's just because all the politics, the war against drugs, all of this.
It takes politicians about 20 years before they like fucking change.
It's like medical marijuana.
It's like marijuana all of a sudden is cool.
Well, it's just because they found out they could make some money.
Well, because they can make money.
That's all it
of
was.
Yeah.
Which if you say that someone can take a little mushroom that they can grow in their yard and that'll save them thousands a month.
They never want to have it be something you can do on your own.
That's why these things.
They need the control of it.
That's why they're illegal. Because you know how many billions are going to be lost if you can just grow this little mushroom in your closet and it'll fix your depression.
Right.
They don't want that. They don't want that, and of course the politicians don't want that because they're being paid off by this.
Well, or like stop, get proper sleep, work out, eat healthy.
Yeah, of course.
Stop eating like shit, and like, because sometimes it is funny. Like, I definitely believe some people have depression. I definitely believe some people need medication and get the proper health and everything. If you need, get the proper help. Sorry, but also I see a lot of people who are depressed that are just living shitty lives. Yeah, it's like, what do you expect yourself to feel like?
Jim Carrey had a quote that was something like,
"That's great. I know exactly."
Before you tell yourself you're depressed, make sure you're not surrounding yourself with shitty people or something along
eating
those
like
lines.
shit. Yeah, he's like, basically, if you're not doing all these other things first, you're not helping yourself with depression.
If you exercise regularly, eat good, and this and that, and you still feel depressed, then we can talk.
Then let's talk. But first, you got to take care of your shit.
Which is, I hope we're not making any viewers angry because this is coming from somebody I've been in the psych ward. I've done these things. Luckily, I'm past that and I've done better. So I definitely know.
Dude. We're raw on this podcast. Just fucking
raw emotion. Men talking about
real shit. That's what we do here.
We're not even playing video games to talk about it.
And we're live on the internet, so we can't there's nothing we can do about it. It's out there, dude.
Live to my mom watching somewhere in Montville, Connecticut, maybe.
Right. To the 2 people watching, probably.
Yeah, we love you so much.
Where are they? Do we have anybody watching? Probably not, but
that's okay.
Someday it's going to be millions.
And, you'd
have to have millions. Yeah.
Billions and billions.
Right. No, I'm with you, though, dude. Like, billions.
Billions. China.
But,
yeah, the psilocybin is going great. I love messing around with psychedelics for actual therapeutic purposes. I don't like to trip. I don't really find that as fun.
I thought it would be fun to try mushrooms once.
Hey, I recommend it.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend it. I've been taking it a lot. I take it in the morning kind of as a therapeutic microdose, and I like to take it to lift. I've
definitely smoked weed once before I lifted, and it was kind of a cool feeling.
It's hit or miss.
I don't think it's good,
but I ride that line.
It was weird because like you could feel every little fiber.
If you think that you got to try mushrooms, and you'll be in a whole other realm.
No shit.
I remember the first time I was doing preacher curls on that machine at Body Shop.
I can literally feel.
I felt like I was a bicep in the clouds.
It's
there was no
wild,
body
dude.
anymore. I was just the bicep, and it was
That's
fantastic.
fucking wild, bro.
I grew 3 inches on my bicep that day. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, dude, I love this shit. Fucking.
But yeah, it's been great for me on that stuff. I mean, I do take a prescription antidepressant. I will say that for the record, for the camera, that I am engaged in some Western medicine. But you know,
well, that's what I mean.
helps.
I think people should if they need it.
If they need to, yeah.
Right.
And I definitely think that I need to. I'm diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, which needs quite a lot of medication for.
So real OCD.
Real OCD, not the, you know, I hate when you hear people say, oh, I'm so bipolar. It's like, no, you're not. Like, this actually causes me a lot of problems in my day and life. And
Well, I was just listening to this video of this guy talking about OCD and like how what a lot of people call OCD is actually just normal human behavior, and actually they should look at it as like a gift because it's keeping them like pushed towards certain like if I'm obsessed with lifting, it's probably a good thing, or I'm obsessed with winning or whatever.
Yeah, if you aim
but
it right.
real OCD, on the other hand, is totally different.
Because those obsessions don't come with just the things you like. It comes with substance abuse. It comes with this, you know. And a lot of these things cause you some stress, you know, when you're obsessed with orderly things and things being an even number, you know, all this kind of thing. Like this table right now, I love you, but this drives me crazy.
Oh, just because there's all the stuff all over.
Yeah, it's just so much clutter. That's one thing that I don't do too well with. Is I don't do too well with busyness. So like my room is very minimalistic. I'm like, I tell the girlfriend nothing on the counters, this and that, and every time I sit down, I'm like, you know,
get everything just how it is.
And you know, that's what people talk about in the movies is orderly stuff, but it's a little more than that. You know, I count syllables in my head while we're talking. I'm counting what you're saying.
Okay.
But when I first found out that I had this, I told the doctor that, and he goes, "What the fuck did you just say to me? That's not normal." And I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, I've done this since I was a kid. What do you mean?"
Counting
syllables. Know, how do you tell a kid? Like when you're a kid, no one tells you how to like question your thoughts and think your thoughts aren't normal.
Right.
But hey,
well, and it's wild because everybody thinks so differently. Like I think a lot of times we like look out at the world and we see people and we think that they think in the same reference that
They're
do.
in a whole other world, man.
And everybody, so like once in a while when you do connect, like even right now, I feel like we're kind of connecting. I'm understanding what you're saying. And, you know, that's why I do like these one-on-one conversations. But there's also times where like, it was like somebody having an issue with their mom at work or something. And like, I'm like, you realize though, like your mom literally can't understand you. Like she's so different.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm, like, trying to tell my friend, like, it's nothing wrong. Like, your mom's just never going to get it.
Yeah.
Like, she's so different. She can't even comprehend the thing you're trying to say because she just thinks so differently.
Just different. Grew up in a different society, different environment.
And everybody thinks differently.
Everyone has that filter, that predisposition of everything that you hear kind of gets filtered through that. And everyone's just so different that, you know, it's tough. And that's one thing that's great about being a teacher and a coach is you learn how to work with that.
And you probably learn how to communicate.
It's all about communication. Coaching is all about communication. And it's like, you know, you asked me about programming, how I train and stuff. And that stuff is maybe 1% of the iceberg. The rest of it's communication, because I don't care how good your program is if you can't tell a lifter how to do it and then make them believe in you and trust you enough to do it.
Right, and then how much of it is just connecting with people and like empathy?
So much of it, you know, because if you connect with someone and they feel like, hey, you genuinely have my interest in mind, they'll do whatever the hell you tell them. And, you know, that's what you need in a leadership position. So,
yeah, you want them to trust you, and you definitely want to have their best interests at heart.
Absolutely. And that's the best way to get someone to trust you is to actually have their best interests in heart. That's my secret, is like, I actually care. So if you want to be a good coach, actually care about your clients.
I think that's the trick to everything, right?
Yeah, 100%. If you want to be a good
Because it's always like trying to pull this wool over, or like trying to present. I think that even with like as dumb as it is with like social media, like it's like just be the more you can be like do something for yourself on there, or like be actually your true representation of yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise it comes off, even like this podcast, I feel like sometimes it's like if I was gonna try to make it a certain way, or like you know what I mean, it comes off as like people can see through it.
They can, especially.
So it's like you got to just kind of be yourself, I feel like.
You do. And when you're someone who's really good at reading people and at that communication aspect, you can see that pretty clearly. So it's good that you're out here doing what you think.
Well, and I think people are going to see you, like even same with music, like when you're writing music, right?
Yeah.
If you're writing something that's not real, people are going to like see through it. You know what I mean? Like that's why when you put yourself into it, you got to be like honest.
Yeah, I think it's the best way to live life. I found that the more authentic I am, the more the world rewards me. And it's tough, it's scary, but
I liked what you said at the beginning, something about the universe, was because I believe in that kind of shit.
100%.
Like the universe has put you in a spot to be where you are right now. that's probably why you met your girl. That's why you quit drinking. Like, it's like,
absolutely.
But you have to like let it.
You have to let it. You have to have faith in it, and you have to just have faith in the process. Have you ever read a book called The Alchemist?
No.
Well, you read it in high school and read it again, and that was one of the books where it talks about everybody has their personal legend, it's called, which is...
And who's this by, The Alchemist?
Paulo Coelho. Coelho. I forget how he pronounces it, but it's a fantastic book, and I read that in every competition prep I do because it pumps me the fuck up.
Right.
But it talks about how, so many people are not living up their calling, that thing that they're in the world for, and when you find it what your thing is and you really commit to it, the universe rewards you. And that's what kind of helped with me is I found like the more I train at lifting, no matter anything else, if I just try at this, my life gets better, and it did. So that's how I knew that I was on the right path. Like if you just blindly go for it, and it's gotten me through a lot of dark days. Like when I had my hernia surgery, the next day I crawled out of bed, funneled some Vicodin with my stomach ripped open, and I went to the gym, and everything was fine, because I knew that I just had to do this.
You were on your correct path.
Yeah, and people would ask me like, "What's your goal?" And it's like, I don't know. I just know I have to do this.
I just know I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Exactly. Good. Well
Isn't
said.
it weird
Well
when you are where you're supposed to be, you just know because your body feels right?
Because the universe tells it's all
like if you're working at Coke, like in some factory doing that, you probably didn't feel right. No, this is not what's meant.
Yeah, it felt terrible, and that's where depression, anxiety comes from, is when you're not in line with your purpose.
100%.
Because we're all here for a purpose. I don't know what yours is. You probably have better insight on that. But we all chose to be in these lives for a reason, to learn a lesson and to do something.
Yeah.
You just got to find out what it is. People talk a lot about, hey, if you don't know what your passion is, think about what you did as a kid. And that's something that I think of too. Because when you're young, you kind of have an idea what your thing is. But then we get older and we listen to peer pressure, society, we take drugs.
I'm supposed to be this, or I'm supposed to be that.
Exactly. Yeah. But when we're untainted and, we're fresh, young, you know what they are. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut, so I'm not really quite going to be an astronaut, but I'm going to do something.
Dude, if you don't fucking get us to Mars, I'm going to be pissed. That's like so fucking cool, because I feel like in our lifetime, we're actually probably going to maybe see that.
100%. I think somebody will be on Mars. I don't know if society will live there, but we'll put a person on there.
Because I feel like we might end up living a lot longer than...
I hope so.
I just do. I really do. I feel like by the time, because if you think about how fast technology's changed, by the time like me or you get to be like 80, 90, I feel like we might end up living like way longer.
Well, it's
because of modern technology.
They say that the person who's going to live forever is already alive now, because by the time they get of age, we'll learn how to elongate life, and then when by them 50 years, they will learn to do it again, and so on and so forth. So if you believe that or not is up to you.
Well, I don't know. I just know that there's some people viewing aging as like a disease that could be cured. Disease and aging. So we had this talk on here the other day. It's like, so if you get rid of aging and disease, then all people will only die from like accidents.
Yeah.
So if no one dies from aging or disease, like everyone will die because they like accidentally got hit by a bus.
Or just all the rich people have that technology, and now there's Jeff Bezos.
They'll be the only ones that can live. Yeah, that's true, man.
And technology's not going to touch you and I. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's true.
That's all for the people up top.
It's like people like drinking baby's blood and shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
The lizard people. Turning the frogs gay and everything.
Jeff Bezos does on his free time. Absolutely.
Dude, I don't know what... I know one thing he does, take some TRT for sure.
Oh, he got that
he got himself in shape, yeah.
Yeah? Did he?
Well, I think so. If you like... That's one thing that's weird about Bezos is if you look at his like early Amazon pictures, he is like a skinny little nerdy guy with like a hunchback and everything. And then you see him like now he's like, he's got his head shaved bald. He's definitely on TRT and he looks pretty jacked.
Got his six-pack tattoos.
There's like that thing, he had that hot girlfriend, but then Leonardo DiCaprio she was kind of like, there's like that meme where it looks like she's kind of like Bezos is like, what the fuck?
What the fuck? Yeah.
It's like, but how do you can't resist Leo? Come on.
Yeah, it's the fuck, dude. I couldn't resist Leo.
It's Leo, bro. Come on.
Yeah, I'd hang out with him. I'd go for him.
Of course your girlfriend's going for Leo. Come on, man.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, you're right. I think rich people will have that technology before us, but I still think we might live longer than people.
I definitely hope so.
Because think about it, like people already live, even 80 and 90 is pretty good, but...
Yeah, which is weird to think of because humans were not evolved to live this long at all. And that's why people are getting so many health effects, because we weren't designed to live to 100 years old.
No.
We never did in caveman times.
What do you think the age was back then? Like,
well, it's what in the medieval eras, they weren't living until 30, something like that.
Well, I feel like, we'd already be like, I'd already be long of tooth, like...
With how stupid I am, I would have died long by now. I'm surprised I made it.
Well,
this
us
far.
being men, we probably would have died anyway because it would have been like fighting or hunting.
We would have been drafted at 13 to go
Right.
fight in the war, something like that.
100%.
Hey, it's better than being married off at 14 as a young woman. I'd rather, it's got to be tough.
Well, that was some creepy shit too. That's what it was like.
Not a fan of that. But
there's a lot of shows like that now.
and so I thought it was I'm watching Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
right
I was
now.
like, there's like Game of Thrones, like Handmaid's Tale.
Yep,
like,
I'm actually watching that as well. Just caught up.
I was started watching that Jeffrey Dahmer thing.
I haven't yet. It just came out with what's his name? Evan Peters.
Yeah, the dude from and I do like those American Horror Stories, some of them seasons, but like I just was watching it. It's like I don't know if I want that in my life.
I heard it's pretty dark. It's
heavy. Like I mean, it's really good and really well done, and he's like masterfully acting in it. But it's kind of like I don't know if I want this energy in my life right now. It's like dude, it's so dark.
It's like growing up and your parents saying video games are bad for your brain, and now that I get older and learn more about psychology, I'm like, watching that movie, that series is not good for your brain.
Well, it's kind of like diet. It's a diet of what you put into your head.
It is, and your brain does not forget anything it hears, whether you do or not. So when you're around bad vibes, you take that in.
It gets to you. Like, well, that's what I tell people that too. It's like if you're talking like shit about yourself,
that's so bad.
If you keep saying I'm a piece of shit, in a few weeks you're gonna be a piece of shit.
That's another thing with my clients. I don't tolerate that shit. If somebody says like, oh, my bench sucks, I say shut the fuck up and get out of here.
Yeah, don't say that to yourself.
Because what you say about yourself, your body, it listens to.
It manifests.
100%. Before I lift, I'll say under my breath, I'm like, you're the champ. Let's do this. You got this. And like your brain, it listens.
Right.
It really listens. So don't talk bad about your lifting or your physique. You're doing great, baby.
Well, it's like I'm going to take my NASM test next month. And
fuck yeah.
Whatever, just to have the certification because you got to have something behind your name.
Hell yeah.
If you're gonna, but it's like I'm just telling myself like I'm gonna pass the test. I'm gonna pass. Like I'm like, and I think I am because it's like I got a good study guide and everything. But if I was sitting there telling myself like I know I'm gonna fail, I'd probably fail.
Yeah.
It's like you're right. Yeah. We manifest these things. It's like,
because these things you tell yourself about yourself when you're not actively putting thoughts in your brain, that's the default your brain goes to. When you're just
brainwashing, these little like neurological patterns get so strong. Like I'm a piece of shit. I'm an ugly piece of shit. Like you say that over and over. Well, then that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and your brain will listen to what you say about you over and
over.
I'll
never be successful. It's like it's gonna strengthen that.
That's so bad for you.
It's terrible.
And your brain makes a lot of small decisions, even just right now, hundreds that you don't even think to make. And it goes through that filter. If you won't realize it, but there's so many things you'll probably do differently if you just talk about yourself differently.
In a positive way, I would say.
Absolutely, you got to be your own hype man. Who else is going to do that?
Is that hard with clients to sometimes, if they're kind of going down, you have to pull them up, kind of?
I would say it's something that my clients can speak otherwise if I'm wrong, but I think it's one of my specialties. But it definitely is one of the big adversities about being a coach, is especially if you have a competition and your client doesn't do well. That's a hard day.
Right.
I recently had flown out to Connecticut in August, and I had two clients do a meet, longtime clients, friends of mine, and they both just had rough days. One of them had gotten hurt a few days prior, and then the other one had just a bad headspace. And when someone trains for, same thing with bodybuilding, 5-6 months for an event, and then you're just watching it go to shit, what do you say? And then with our sport is, you'll start lifting at 9 a.m. You usually finish around 2. If you start off bad at 9 a.m, I got to sit with you for 8 more lifts. Like it's a pretty tough experience. And then if things just keep getting worse and worse, like if you're having a bad day, you're probably having a bad day, and it's going to keep going. And then you got to, between attempts, coddle these people off the ledge because I've been there, and it means a lot to us. We put a lot into the sport, and whether we should or not, all of us attach some self-value to our performance in our sports. And,
yes,
people take it personally when they don't do well because that's like, oh, well, my work is not good. I'm not good enough. So it's definitely hard to talk people off that. But, that's where that empathy comes in. If your clients trust you and really think that you have their best interest in mind, they'll listen to you, and you should be able to talk your clients off a ledge like that, if you truly want what's best for them, I think.
Well, that's so the vibe that I get from you is like very knowledgeable, science-based, and intelligent, positive. So yeah, I think that's.
I appreciate that.
I feel like you got a good thing going.
You really know how to sweet talk a girl.
Oh, dude, I know. That's here. That's most of my job on the podcast is just like like pumping people up, and I do actually enjoy like promoting people.
No, I
but it's like people that I like.
Yeah.
And that's like why I only have like that's what this podcast is for, is like things that I enjoy. So it's like mostly been like I've had Muay Thai fighters, musicians, bodybuilders. I guess I have my buddy that has a famous dog, like it's like, just like, but he's cool. He runs these like Ironman marathons and shit, and he's a coach. He's like an Ironman triathlon coach and shit.
Damn.
It's like
some tough stuff.
So it's like, yeah, just people that inspire me, or like, but yeah, I do end up a lot of times. I mean, I do have the ability to find the positive in everything. So,
well, I love that.
But I mean it. Yeah.
Because what you're saying earlier about the audience that I have and people that I can help with a similar story to mine is by you having us on here as you give us that outlet. So, by you putting me on here is you're helping me do my thing. So I do appreciate that.
Right, and my goal is to grow it and then grow a community of like people that people like, and have you guys come on again. So repeat.
Yeah. You could do some combination of guests,
right? And then it's like it. Oh my God, I definitely want to do combos with people.
My boy Ethan was saying that he was talking to you.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna have
him on.
Yeah. He's got a great. His deadlift is really impressive.
He's a monster, man. He's a monster.
He is. That shit's crazy, dude. Like,
it is. He actually, that last meet I did, he did, and we had a bet on who would pull more.
Yeah.
So I still owe him some sushi. He got me by like 5 pounds.
He's just an interesting dude. I can't wait to have him on here.
He is. I always tell him he's a Labrador in human form, just like.
You just nailed it. I was gonna say, he's a badass. He's a hardcore motherfucker. No, he's like the happiest, like fucking hi. Like
you're a Great Dane.
Yeah,
I call you a Great Dane.
That's what I am, a Great Dane. Yeah, yeah. I don't even know. That's like what, a big ass dog.
Yeah, they're big, but they're smart. They're cool. They're chill. They're noble. They're steady.
I'll take it.
Just kind of there doing a thing.
I'll take it, man. I'm a Great Dane.
It's a good thing. We had Great Danes. My family did growing up.
I wonder what. Yeah, it'd be fun to like figure out every dog that somebody is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I wonder what do you think I am?
I don't know. I don't know dog breeds that much. I'd say like a bulldog or something.
I'll take it.
Like something strong.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, dude. Shit.
Yeah, so that puts me here with the powerlifting. So hoping to do well at this meet and do a show next year.
Hell yeah, dude.
And keep growing the team. I just want to keep getting an outreach, but it's tough because I don't want to try to reach further than I can.
No.
And just put out a bad
with the
product.
team, you have to keep it manageable, right?
Yeah, if you want to have these intimate relationships with your clients, is you can't have too many of them, because whether any coach wants to admit it, every client you have extra takes away from the others. There's no way.
You only have so much attention.
You only do, absolutely. And then you're trying to do your own training and stuff like that. So you just got to be honest with yourself on what you can handle, and take pride in your work. I take so much pride in my work that if I'm think that I'm putting out a bad product, it makes me feel bad about myself.
Right.
Maybe once or twice I'll put out a program later than I want to, and I feel like a piece of shit. I'm like, these people are counting on me. I think more of myself than this. So
keeps you on your toes then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it keeps you accountable.
Without these people, keeping me going, I probably would have withered away by now. So, I'm very thankful for my team, and very thankful for everybody that's helping me with it. Absolutely. And
you have a purpose that's good. So you brought some notes. Is there anything you wanted to?
Well, I wrote here some notes on you. I wrote this. This is you in a summation. I wrote Iowa, wrestling, sushi / bacon, and PT.
Yeah.
That's the notes for you guys.
Well, that bacon sushi thing.
Yeah, I was listening to some stuff you were doing the other podcasts just to get an idea, and you had mentioned something about that. So
I don't know, dude.
That was
sushi
with bacon on it. That's right.
Well, I was like right at the end of I had been cutting, so I got the leanest I ever was. And then all of a sudden, like my coworker, she's been trying to get me to go out to eat all the time. I'm like, I can't. I'm always, because I'm like obsessed with. I get obsessed with the things I'm doing, and it becomes like anything outside of that, and I need to work on it because I need to give more time to friends and people and stuff. But it's like anything that's outside of my goals, I look at as like taking away from my goals.
Yeah, I could relate.
Which, yeah, you get it, because you're definitely like ambitious as well.
Very focused.
Like you want your business to do well. Like I have these things I'm working on, and I want to, I have these goals I'm working on. Anything outside of that, I feel like is just taken away from me. So I get really tunnel vision. But we went out and we ate this fucking sushi, and it was awesome.
Hell yeah.
And it was just great, man. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about bacon on sushi. It's sacrilege.
Oh, so good.
That's like pouring Coca-Cola in a good whiskey.
Well, that's what I said. I was like, this is so American and white of me. I'm like, my favorite sushi roll is the one with bacon. Like,
yeah. Are you normally a sushi guy?
No, I mean, I like all of it. We got a good mix. So, like, the girl that was like the one that wanted us all to go out, she's like really good about like she's all like, well, the proper way to eat sushi is you have a mix of like, you know, the sashimi type of things, very raw, very like traditional Japanese, then some in the middle ones, and then some totally just deep fried fucking like. She's like, you got to get a mix of them all to properly, you know, do sushi. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a good time, man.
Bacon.
And then she made us go get what is it that you could have this ice cream because it's dairy free,
Nice.
and gluten free. It was that Frankie and Joe's, or is that what it is?
I'm not sure. Haven't heard.
There's like this like gluten free. It was the best ice cream I've ever had in my life. So yeah, I took a cheat day and I had bacon sushi and ice cream, and that gluten free, dairy free ice cream. If you ever get a chance, oh dude, it was good.
It's a spot. I got to stay away from ice cream.
Well, just so you know, like that, it was weird for me because like I do not deviate much from my meal plan, you know. So like it was rare. There's even like certain foods I think about that I probably haven't had in like 5 years, you know, like.
Anything in particular come to mind?
Well, I would say like just like. I mean, I don't know the last time I had McDonald's or
Like 2 days ago for me.
I do love McDonald's though. It's good.
No, it's definitely the spot. I remember growing up and having a McDouble addiction. And from one of my birthdays, my mom got me like 25 McDoubles and put it on a plate and shoved a candle in it.
That was your birthday cake.
It was, and then I had 2 and the rest went bad.
I always like the dollar menu, dude.
It's not a dollar menu anymore, is it?
Is it what?
Menu.
$2 menu?
$1.59 plus tax.
They used to have good shit, like just the double cheeseburger, the McChicken, all that shit.
Those are bad thoughts, man. Healthy thoughts.
Oh, I'm not even. Yeah, right now I'm.
Thoughts.
It's so weird because ever since I started, I'm not even bulking yet, but I was done with the cut, so I'm more like kind of evened out right now, where it's just kind of chill, but it's not quite as restricted as it was. But I'm still not really pushing any, you know, because you got to take it slow going back up from that low calories.
Yeah.
But even just the little bit of extra food I'm on now, like all my cravings are gone. It was weird. Like I didn't get these cravings until I was like really low calorie and I got really lean. And then I started having like cravings for stuff that I'm normally not even into, like cookies, cookie dough, like sweets, because I'm not really into sweets that much. But when I was like super lean at the end of that cut, I started watching like Instagram shit like it was porn. Like crumble cookie, crumble cookie ads and like cookie dough and all this shit. And I would just like sit there and I'm like showing this girl at work, I'm like, look at this. And she's like, no, we're trying to be healthy, because she's the other one that's like, and I'm like, I know, but fucking look at this cookie dough, right? You know, like, she's like, okay, yeah, that's fucking hot. I'm like, yeah.
I've been there. You ever? I've had to cut water weight a couple times, and then you'll see all the, you know, the commercials of the nice cold soda, and you're just like, please.
Yeah. But like now that I'm back on like a normal amount of calories, I'm like, all those are gone. I'm like looking at the same shit. Like, it's kind of like looking at porn when you're not horny. It's like, why was I so like crazy about that?
Why am I even here?
Yeah, what was up with that?
You are such a piece of crap.
Oh, well, that's a whole different thing. That's called post nut clarity.
Post almond clarity.
Yeah, that's when you get older, you don't do that anymore. That's like a young man's game, because you learn. You're like, why the fuck?
Hopefully you learn.
I hope so too, but yeah.
We got to work on your squat.
We do, man. That's the next thing is in this. You said I could probably do 405.
Well, you squatted 315 for 8. I mean, they weren't perfect depth, but it was close.
Okay.
So
I just got to work on that depth, the form.
Yeah, well, the tweaks that we did, that'll help you get down. You know, if you're not really.
I definitely want to work on it with you.
Yeah, we'll get you.
Yeah.
We'll get
Fuck
you.
Yeah, dude.
Jordan told me a while ago that you were looking for some help for when I did the seminar.
Yeah.
And I meant to link up with you, but I just never gotten around to it, as you can tell.
We'll do it, yeah.
I'm glad we finally crossed paths, because I've wanted to help you out for a little while.
I think that's one, because I still love those deadlift, squat. Bench I haven't done in like forever. I guess I'm doing some incline bench. That probably needs some work too. But those are the best, man.
Hey, that's my specialty, baby.
I know, that's the shit. You're the power lifter, baby.
I'd love to help you out, movement stuff.
All right, we're going to definitely work on that. I'm going to get up to 405 on my squat during this next bulk. So we're about to 2 hours, dude. Do you have anything that you want to, like, any sponsors you need to shout out? Any you can shout out your Instagram, shout out anything you want at this point.
Caffeine-free Coke Zero. No, I'm not. Sorry, Coca-Cola.
Yeah, or just any other insight you want to share before we go off here?
I will say you can find me at my name, Zachary Nathaniel Hall, on Instagram. That is pretty much the only platform that you'll find me at. And there you'll see me posting a lot of bullshit, you know, some stuff about space, psychedelics. Sometimes I post some fun facts about physics kind of stuff, whatever gets me off. Sometimes I talk shit on there. I like to speak my mind.
I love it, dude. We're definitely having you on here again.
I would love to be on.
I mean, you're a guy that like takes mushrooms, smokes weed, power lifts, is into science.
All at the same time.
All at the same time. Like to me, that's like fucking. That's dope.
I'm a Jack of all trades, if you will.
Man. Like so, check out some of those books I got over there.
There we go.
You might be into some of that shit.
Absolutely. Applied kinesiology, strength training anatomy, back mechanics.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's as soon as I'm done with this NASM test, those are my next. I really want to get. So like the starting strength, that's the Brian Ripito, and then the thing that pairs with it is practical programming for strength training. Those are like stuff I've been so wanting to read. So
you got to get it in so that you can start being a personal trainer.
Right, dude. I know.
Hell yeah.
So interesting. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
Great fucking guest, man. And we'll definitely have you on again. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate everything you're doing and helping people, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And shout out to Body Shop.
Yes.
Thanks everybody for listening.
Right on.
Appreciate it. Everybody have a good night.
Wherever the camera is.